Fill in the room. Come on in here. Okay, yeah, okay, we got people in here. All right, cool. What's up, Quan? What's up, Evan? I was thinking about going on YouTube. I said, nah, let me do a Twitter space. Make sure y'all got make sure y'all got it. And you know me, I be watching out for these Twitter spaces, man. Be too much arguing and shit going on here. Y'all know that shit be on Twitter spaces. Like, god damn, y'all fighting with somebody else? Shit. I was in a Twitter space yesterday, and it was everybody in the room was like, I thought everybody was all about reparations and shit. And these motherfuckers is arguing about this person and that person. And oh god, man, shit. Let me tell y'all. Well, the people in here right now, none of y'all. I'm familiar with the names in here so far. I know none of y'all are like that, but listen, I got to make sure I keep putting that warning out as people come into the room. Like, that sucker shit up. But we talking about today Kanye's word versus degenerate rap lyrics. That's what we talking about. Degenerate rap lyrics versus Kanye. Which one is worse? I'm not here to preach. I'm not here to say. I'm not here to say one person is better than the next or one opinion is better than others. I'm not here to say if you think Kanye is a coon, you wrong. I'm not here to say if you think Kanye is a god, you right. I don't give a damn. I'm more so looking at this thing from what can we learn point of view, you know. And I'm definitely gonna want to get some of y'all comments later on about this situation, because what we've been seeing here with this whole Kanye situation is a lot of watching Kanye's pockets. You know what I mean? If Kanye wants to go broke, let him. Why that's any of our concern? I don't know. Cause I've met Kanye twice and he ain't never gave me $1. So hey, you know, if he wanna lose all his dollars, what that gotta do with me? And but what is he losing his dollars over? Kanye West is a rapper who has never wrote a lyric that harms the overall good of black society. He's never undermined us with his lyrics. He just has some opinions that we may or may not agree with. Mostly we disagree. I disagree with a lot of Kanye's opinions. Let me just start off by saying that. I agree with some stuff. I disagree with a lot of stuff. Like any other man, it's going to be points that we agree. It's going to be points that we diverge. But at the end of the day, Kanye, his music is either good time music, a little bit mixed with a little bit of consciousness, mixed with a little bit of bullshit. But nothing telling you to take any particular style of drug, nothing telling you to kill anybody or harm another black person. He's never put that in his music. Meanwhile, we got these other cats coming in here. I saw, well, maybe, let me start what made me bring up this particular topic. I saw Boosie on say some shit on IG. And I'm neither a fan nor do I dislike Boosie. I don't know his music like that. I listen to some of his little gangster music, and you know it's not my style. But for people who like it, it's whatever. But I've heard enough of his music to know that Boosie ain't really talking about shit in his music, and he wants to cancel Kanye. I'm seeing Noriega, who ain't really talked about shit in his music. I'm seeing all of these rappers who in their music they've done nothing but take from us as black people. They didn't give us anything lyrically of substance to make us get through what we're going through. You know what I mean? They haven't given us much lyrically that's gonna make us think to become better people, better citizens, and better brothers and sisters toward one another. All of their music was about spending money, hoes, clothes, and cash. And it's the whole clothes and cash contingent of black society that seems to have the biggest issue with Kanye West. The whole clothes and cash contingent. What that's about is concerning because it's like people who ain't ever done. Hey, Mike. All right, all right, all right, cool. People who ain't never done nothing. That's my neighbor. My neighbor was passed out in his car. I'm like, you all right? Oh, shit, I don't want to be talking to y'all, and I should be calling the ambulance. That's what I'm talking about. So, hey, what's up, Queen Vicky Dillard in the room? So basically, it's these hoes, clothes, and cash contingent of black music society that you see going at Kanye the most, telling him he needs to be canceled. And I have a question. What's worse? Is Kanye saying that he thinks George Floyd died of fentanyl worse than a rapper who's going around talking about who's disrespectful of women in his lyrics? Is that worse than a rapper that's going around talking about how they trapped and sold, like Jeezy? Jeezy's music talking about trapping and selling, but he going around taking pictures of. But his son graduated college. He got and he got his new son that looked like he belonged. He got his new son that looked like he belonged on the Golden Child with that Asian chick that he got, and he ain't pushing that lifestyle to his family. But we got these people that in their music, they haven't done much to promote us in a positive light, but they're coming down on Kanye. So which one is worse? Hit your request buttons, and I want to hear what y'all got to say. We want to talk about this. I'm not gonna hog too. I'm gonna talk a lot. Y'all not gonna talk a whole lot, but I also want to hear what y'all got to say because this is a family discussion we got to have, black people, about our priorities. Again, I'm not coming down to saying what you should like and what you shouldn't like. Whatever your opinion is on Kanye West, you're probably right. Yes, he's a coon. Yes, he's prolific. Yes, he's a great musician, great artist. Yes, some of his music sucks. Yes, he like them little white girls and them Kardashians, and he's lost. All that's true. All of it's true. Kanye is a very polarizing figure, and everyone that has something to say about him has a lot of truth to stand on about that. So it's not about Kanye West. It's really about the bigger picture, how we as a society responds. I had that brother come up and speak, but it looked like he having phone issues. That nigga must have been in a train tunnel. Um, but it basically, what's up, Nikki? Nikki up in here. I'm gonna bring Nikki the co-host. Bring Nikki the co-host in this motherfucker. And I want y'all to hit y'all. If you want to speak, I want you to hit the request because this is a conversation that we have to have as a people. Where are our priorities? Like, where do we use our canceling power? When does it stop? Where's the line? Like, okay, are we going to cancel? If we're going to cancel Kanye West for what he said, I'm okay. That's fine with me. But where's the line? Do we also then cancel these same black rappers who go talk to Vlad after Vlad said what he said about the nation? Excuse me, that's my neighbor. Y'all be hearing my neighbor got a little moped. Something like that. That nigga got a lawnmower that he put on top of a basket. He turned into a little bullshit ass bike. Sorry for the noise. Go ahead, Nikki.
Okay. I mean, if you look through my tweets, you could see where maybe a couple weeks ago I said, "Hey, I'm sick and tired of Kanye," and it's basically him actually marrying into the Kardashian family, which everyone knows is like one of the biggest mistakes you make. Any black man, any man in general, but mostly black men who have dealt with them have been bitten by the Kardashian effect per se. Then after he got he started going through his divorce. He continues to date white women. It's one thing when you come into consciousness late or you make a mistake and you dating a white woman, and it's one thing, but he kept dating white women and then complaining about, hey, she's not letting me see my kids. And then we're supposed to feel sorry for him. And then when he made the comments about George Floyd, I was like, oh, hell no. So I made the post that I made maybe a week or two ago. But now, as we can see with all of the cancellations, with all of the companies canceling contracts, now he has lawsuits and such. This is no longer about Kanye West. This is about upholding white supremacy. And it's no longer just, oh, Kanye West, oh, I'm sick of him. This is about all of us now. And I think all of us need to stand up and say, hey, you can't just come after Black people holding a torch and chasing after them and setting them on fire because they're Black. So I think at some point you have to believe in two things at once. You can believe in two things. Yeah, I am sick and tired of Kanye and these white women, but I'm more sick and tired of white supremacy. So I am on the side of fighting white supremacy. So at this point, I will support trying to defend the situation that's happening against him. Hello, Vicky Dillard.
Yeah, that's some real talk, Nikki. Because at the end of the day, like I'm with you when it comes to that. When it comes to Kanye, see, sometimes you got to ask yourself, what's the bigger fight, And and we know them Kardashian chicks ain't shit. I've been around them Kardashian chicks for the last 15 years. Well, the last 7 or 8 years, I don't really go out like I used to. But back when I used to go out in the 2000s and the early 2010s, I used to run across one of them Kardashian chicks at least once a month. And they could know why I run across them because they were always where the niggas are. Anytime I was at All Star Weekend, what do you see? Kardashian. Anytime I'm at the club, Kardashian. And the dudes, we all kind of like the regular dudes, people don't realize these entertainer dudes are weird. People like Kanye, they ain't never had attention from women all through middle school, high school, through their 20s. They didn't get attention until they got a hit record. And you will see them vulturing for them kind of dudes. And so when Kanye got with Kim Kardashian, I'll never forget because he was with Chris Humphries. And I remember being around Chris Humphries when Chris was a rookie in the NBA. Him and this cat that I used to coach were rookies at the same time. So I spent a lot of time around Chris Humphries before he got married to Kim Kardashian. And cool dude, but he's goofy. And you would see these Kardashians doing these always around. And those of us who are more on the side, we would always laugh at these goofball entertainers that would fall for these Kardashians. So when Kanye got married to Kim Kardashian, the general consensus here in LA, like around the cast that been running across these Kardashians since the 1998, we was laughing at Kanye like this nigga's a goofball. Kanye gives us so many reasons to not like him. He gives us so many things to not trust him. He does make so many cornball weird moves. But when you see a bank saying you can't bank here because of an opinion, that's when it goes to, okay, we're not just dealing with some old goofball dude with one cheek bigger than the other. This is something bigger than that right now. And we got to get on code. Go ahead, Afro Elite.
Okay, thank you for inviting me. I kind of want to just second what our sister Nikki had said because I agree. As much as Kanye has been off code, as much as Kanye is doing things, and this is the bed he's made for himself, and I don't necessarily believe in going out Black people, specifically foundation Black Americans. We shouldn't have to be the Avengers for everybody, saving the day when somebody is off code. I said this wouldn't happen if he didn't create distance to Black society. And people got mad at me for making that tweet. And I'm like, well, how did he create distance from Black society? I'm like, well, anytime you see a Black man wearing a Confederate flag, wearing a White Lives Matter T-shirt saying that George Floyd was killed from fentanyl, Harriet Tubman didn't free the slaves, for years, anytime he said anything pretty much about Black people, he's been furthering the distance to Black society. This is what happens when you don't really have that strong support. So this is the bet he made. However, there is a nuance between this because what they're doing is they're using Kanye as a proxy. And we cannot co-sign, and I don't care how off-code Kanye is, I don't care how crazy he is or bipolar, we cannot co-sign a Black person being overly punished because of our disdain or us disliking something he's doing, because they wouldn't do this to any other member of any other society. So the fact that we don't like what Kanye's been doing, that's one thing, and we can handle that later. But as of right now, The bigger problem is the fact that you have white supremacy who is trying to make an example out of Kanye, and that is not something that we should be condoning. In fact, that is something that we should definitely be pushing back. Now, Kanye has put himself in a bad position. However, we have to look at the bigger picture and see they're not doing this because they're that mad at Kanye. They're doing this because Kanye can make a perfect example of how they want to move forward, and we have to push back against that. And I land there.
That's real talk, Afro Elite. That's real talk. We got Vicky Diller on stage. Come on up, and I see Judah. I'm gonna let you come up and speak Judah. Also, I saw you requested, but after Vicky Diller, I got you.
Do you know before you go, Vicky Diller? Just let me ask DwannB a question. Do we know who this person is? Judas. This is a brand new account.
No. Oh, it is.
Okay.
Yeah,
I suspect this is a troll.
Okay. Well, after she speaks, I'll give him a chance. And if it is a troll, you know me. They ain't gonna out-talk me. So.
Understood. Hello, Vicky.
Yeah.
Thank you for joining.
It's my pleasure, and peace to the family. Forgive the noise, family. I mean, I'm literally headed into a holistic appointment, but I saw my.
You can't do no wrong, Vicky. You can't do no wrong. Don't be apologizing. Go right ahead.
Thank you, King. And so, but while I'm headed here, I wanted to tap in because I can appreciate the commentary that he's been given lately, the energy that's coming from my brother. But I wanted to say this. You know, Kanye can be considered to be a raccoon, yes? But the only raccoon that called out the architects of anti-Black chattel slavery and oppression. That's what separates this raccoon from every other. Not only that, family, we've got to learn when to major on minors and minor on majors. And we haven't got that. I don't know what we're talking about when we're talking about, the brother was just on a few minutes ago, excellent points on that as well, about those that have distanced themselves from Black society, so he made his bed for himself. Look, I'm nobody. But the little bit of something that I did for Black society, I've endured death threats, physical threats, non-stop defamation. I had somebody show up a couple of years ago when I spoke in Texas because of a wild mouth YouTuber to confront me about something. I've dealt with all kinds of stuff. And the people I spoke for, you didn't see that traction from me, baby. Not on Twitter, not on Facebook, not on YouTube, not on Instagram, on none of these platforms. I don't know what we're talking about when we said he made this bed for himself because he distanced himself from his own people. I didn't get that kind of love. Let's keep it real. And the other thing I want to say, whether folks like it or lump it, I'm a spiritual first. I do metaphysical talk and I do physical talk. There is no civilization that ever did anything of substance, especially war, and there was not a spiritual practitioner in the ear of the leader. So hear me clear. God, you've been focusing on his motives, all of this other miscellaneous. He said he did this. He's mad about this. Let me tell you something. Which is bigger? We have always had the example. For example, if we take the Sunday school story of Joseph and his brothers tried to kill him. Then they decided to sell him into a land of captivity. While he was in the land of captivity, he was accused of a crime he didn't commit. So he was in prison in the land of captivity. Over time, he had a gift that nobody else in the government had. That was a spiritual gift to crack the spiritual code that the king had, or the Pharaoh had. He cracked the spiritual code of his dreams. He was elevated, what would be tantamount to the prime minister today. Why am I bringing that up? Because the motive of his brother did not stop the higher method the spirit used. They used the negative intentions and motive of his brother to save his family lineage, to save the land and the surrounding nations. This is what happens when we don't understand what's happening spiritually. We will misread what's going on the earth. Now, let's keep it real. I'm told that somebody that's even in this chat, or two or three, gave ear to my enemies. I don't want to hear nobody telling me nothing about a bed that Kanye set for himself, when not enough folks use their Twitter fingers to say back off of Vicky. Death threats are not allowed. That's all I got to say about that, and I'm getting ready to head into my appointment. Thank you for letting me speak, and greetings to each of you.
Thank you, Vicky, for that wisdom. I appreciate what you had to say. Vicky's true blue 10 toes down. And if you ain't down with Diggy, then use the clown. You dig what I'm saying? And so I want to go back off what she said regarding that. Yeah, we as a people, we we'll get very passive when there are outside threats to us and to our women. Like what Sister Connie Collins had to deal with at Power 106. Do y'all know that was the first rally I ever been to in my life? I ain't never been to a protest in my life. I am not a protest nigga. I am a do the work in my area directly with the children, directly with who I need to speak to, and get back home to my wife. I don't do protesting rallies. But that one with Sister Connie, it was the first one I had ever done, and I'm so glad that I went. And we saw the men out there did their thing, but we couldn't rally. It wasn't a lot of people here in LA coming to protest against what these Mexicans are doing to our music. I mean, like, dude, look at what's going on in hip hop right now. You got Fat Joe. You ain't seen not one of these hip hoppers, Lil Boosie, none of these Noriega. Well, Noriega's from Puerto Rico, but none of these dudes that's coming out canceling Kanye. What's his name? Charlemagne the Chipmunk. None of them have come out and said anything when it came to them folks. But they're the first ones that said we need to rally together and talk about Kanye when we got people stealing our culture, when we got people rapping music that's killing, that's leading to our ultimate demise, and when we got people out here that are attacking us, and we're not rallying to the level we should to protect. Like it's a lot of. I think it's this. I know dealing with white supremacy is like a game of whack a mole, but we got a few other more dangerous beavers in front of us to knock down before we get to Kanye West. That's all I'm saying. Nikki, I don't know who's next.
Okay, it's going to be Judea, then Czech, then Afro, and there's someone else trying to come up, but the order is Judea, Czech, then Afro.
Got you. Go ahead, Judea.
Thanks for letting me speak in the space. And I'm not a troll at all. It's just that the things that I'm about to say, I have a pretty prominent Twitter account. I work on Twitter with my nonprofit, and someone has put me on an anti-Semitic list. So I had to create this account, if that makes any sense. So
I understand. Thank you for explaining.
Absolutely. So I want to address a couple things, and I want to kind of have a brief history lesson here with my people here. So the word anti-Semite, the etymology comes from Shemite. Shem, the son of Noah. We're all familiar with the Noah's Ark story. I'm pretty certain.
Real quick, for time, so I can get to everyone else. People in here are fairly they're up on game with the whole history of it.
Okay.
So yeah,
So I want to touch on the word anti-Semite. So when they call Kanye anti-Semite, that's basically saying that he's anti-black, as the etymology comes from Shem, who was the dark son of Noah. Shem was father of Abraham of Israel. So that makes no sense, and we can shut down the argument there when they try to call him anti-Semite. When we think about getting to your point, we think about the lyrics and the music. There was a meeting in 1990 in which all the music execs were brought in, many of them Ashkenazi Jew, in order to have a specific direction they wanted to go with music. Instead of KRS, Public Enemy, peace, love, and upliftment with the music, they made sure it was gangster rap. The same people that were in this meeting that made sure that gangster rap was going to be promoted, they also double dipped and reinvested in the private prison system. 500 private prisons existed in 1990s. Now there are 1,700. The same people that control the music are in the prisons. So they played on the subconscious minds of our youth. I think what Kanye's trying to waken the world up to is the fact that there is a history that has been erased. And as a African American who I've traced my roots back to Nigeria and the Igbo tribe, and many of us, when we were back in the transatlantic slave trade, there were three figures that shipped West Africans from a city which is now named Benin, or Benin. It was called Judea. That's why my name is Judea. So there was a city called Judea. It was one of the largest ports in the transatlantic slave trade. And the ship owners were Ashkenazi Jews. And some of the traders there were, this is history, there were Islamic Arabics, and there were also other African tribes that sold a certain group of people away to slavery. If you look into the Bible, it kind of talks about this, how the people will be scattered. And Kanye's trying to make that point. I think it's a spiritual point he's trying to make. And then you have the Jews. He says, oh, they control media, this, that, and the third. They go through, they blackball, and they prove that they own the banks, the media, and the propaganda, right? They proved his point. It also says in the Bible that beware of the fake Jews that call themselves Jews but are not. I think that's what we're living in. Definitely, you can see a Zionist agenda. The same Khazarian Jews that came from Khazaria, which is present day Ukraine, we're still in that same battle with a Zionist agenda that can possibly lead the world into World War III. But these people definitely have a long game plan, and they've been doing it for thousands of years. And I think the secret is that as a people, we are the chosen people. And so that's why I converted to Judaism about 2 years ago. And I want to leave by saying this. The Jewish culture, the word Jew actually was created in 1800s after the translation of biblical texts from Hebrew and Aramaic to English. There is no J in the Hebrew language. The biblical Jew is a people in which has certain laws that they follow. One of which is this, and I'll tell you one of the laws, one of the customs. You
Go
have
ahead,
to teach your.
go ahead, wrap it up as
Okay,
soon as you
I'll
can,
wrap
so
it
I can
up.
for the next person.
Okay,
Go ahead.
you have to teach your children how to make a living for themselves. That's one of the basic principles. So Kanye is saying he's envious, not jealous of these things, and I believe that these basic laws or that communication with God was something inherent to us that was stolen. Thank you for your, allowing me to speak.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Go ahead, check.
Peace, blessings to everybody in the room. Appreciate you for allowing me to speak. Kanye's words versus the general rap lyrics. The general rap lyrics. You know what I'm saying? I feel like in Kanye's music, you feel me? He's been in kind of his own lane. But as far as the recent activities that's been going on, it's kind of, I see it as a power play. Like it's kind of like chess. You know what I'm saying? So I feel like this is being another way of modern day lynching to police people's voice. You know what I'm saying? But particularly, you feel me, the black man's voice. You know what I'm saying, here in America. So yeah, I feel like anybody that's really kind of giving them pushback, like people are gonna feel the way they feel, but it's just kind of weird to me how when one person is being attacked or judged by the rest of the world, and then now is the time that we choose that we want to like punch them as well. You feel me? There need to be conversations and things need to be held accountable within our community, but joining in on others, you feel me, critiquing or commenting about, you feel me, one of our people, you feel me, nah. So I feel like, you feel me, to wrap up what I'm saying, pretty much, he was pretty much addressing what was true. After he spoke his truth about the situation, we seen what happened. So in order to, in order to free ourselves from situations like this, you feel me, we need our own shit. And I'll leave it at that.
I feel what you're saying right there, man. Because you're right. It's one of those situations where I think that this is when you see the world piling on, that's when it's time to take a few steps back. It's like going back in basketball when you coach, when you're playing defense in any kind of sport. When you see the other team on the attack, the first thing you want to do is take a few steps back and reset your defense. You may have had a game plan going into the game, and you may have thought it was this one thing, but then when you see the other team make a counter to what you've been doing, and now they're attacking you, first thing you gotta do is go back and reset your defense. So yeah, it's all the conversations we had about Kanye before 2-3 weeks ago, valid, all of them, because he gave us all something to talk about. Yes, he did. But now it's like, okay, It's time to reset my defense. Let me check my center out and bring in a smarter player. Let these cats is running fast. Let me readjust my game plan because these cats is coming at us real hard. But go ahead, Afro Elite.
Can I get a few more minutes, please? I'm out right now. Can I get a couple of minutes?
Oh, yeah, go ahead, go ahead. That's fine. Yeah. So, raise your hand whenever you're ready. Oh, we got. Let me see.
I feel like the people.
Go ahead. Go ahead, Amzi.
The guy is on his way up. Omizi, you go ahead and speak.
Oh yeah, what's up? What's up, Dwan B? Thank you, bro, for letting me come up, Nikki. I just want to make a quick comment. I think what Afro Lee said was right on, but also that like, anytime somebody else from a different nationality gets into a situation, whether it's ridiculous or justified, they're always backed by their people. I think the Jews are taking advantage of our criticism of Kanye right now, and I think we need to, back them up. That's it. Thank you.
I feel you, and it's good to see cats getting on code with that message because it's like, all right, now this is like and this is think about this for a second. When people are pressuring shoe companies to drop you, when you're getting dropped and your school is getting shut down, now children are affected. These kids don't know what the hell is going on in this world. They're supposed to be getting educated, and these people are so evil. They're making children pay the price. You know what I mean? The level of petty they're using to go after Kanye West right now, this is nothing to laugh at or brag about or like say this isn't a I got you moment. Like we all know. Look, I'm gonna get to the back to the hand in a second. Look, man, we've been knowing Kanye was corny. We knew when he came out he was kind of corny, but his music was jamming. You know that college dropout when that he looked like a cornball. Remember Kanye changed the game. Before that, before college dropout, you had to be tough. And I know somebody's gonna say, no, there were other rappers who weren't tough, but none of them hit like Kanye did. Let's just tell the fucking truth. Kanye was the one that came in because, by the time '93 came, 93 they started making MC Hammer and Will Smith look corny by the time '93, '94 came around. Like the Fresh Prince, that whole party kid and play in the context of early '90s rap, that shit was corny. And the early '90s gangster rap era made it that way. So when Kanye came out with his thing, not only was he not part of that mold, he was he did it better than anybody else. But we still knew he was corny. And then he got married to Kim Kardashian. If you didn't know he was corny before then, you knew good and the hell well he was corny marrying the town flip. You don't marry the one everybody done run through. I know two niggas who ain't famous that done hit that. Come on. And so we knew he was corny. We knew that. We also know that he went in one of them hospitals too. And for as much talk as we talk about white supremacy, you don't think when he was in that hospital they injected him with something? This is Kanye West, not your Uncle Peter. They don't give a damn about your uncle. But this is Kanye West, a black man that has influence over the world with his music. You don't think when they had him in that insane asylum, they didn't inject him with some bullshit? You can't talk about white supremacy and how evil these people are all day and then think they treated him fair and square when he was locked down. The two can't exist in the same world. Either these some evil, devious motherfuckers or everything is straight up. There's no way in hell you get somebody influential as Kanye West in your hospital for 30 days or however long he was there. And look, they pump regular people up with some bullshit in them hospitals. I worked in mental health for 15 years. I know. I see a kid go in there because he had a bad day at school, had a mental breakdown, and then come out a fucking zombie 21 days later or 7 days later. depending how long his hold is. I've been down to the Kedron mental health facility on Avalon and 53rd in South Central LA. Them places are weird. It's all kind of weird shit that happens to you when you go up in there. So Kanye is not only did he marry a Kardashian, which is one form of voodoo within itself. I don't know what's up with them Kardashians, but everybody suck when they get with them. James Harden had his worst year in the NBA when he was with that Kardashian with Khloe. He dumped her. Next year won the MVP goddamn P. We know they're vampires. So Kanye is a weird dude that got with an energy vampire that went to mental health facility, got shot up with all kind of bullshit. So we understand this about him. We get it. We get it. We get it. Does that mean because you're a weirdo that likes vampire pussy, does that mean that you should get your bank accounts closed? This is where I'm headed with it. You know what I mean? Does it mean that? And going back to the question of the room, what's worse? His personal decisions? And even when you go back to his slavery was a choice comment, he expounded upon that, talking about, he's speaking more so in the context of slave contracts that artists choose to sign. But even if you do believe, even if you do take what he said at face value when he believes slavery was a choice, that's his opinion. There are some people who did choose to whoop. Like Bass Reeves was a slave, and one day he woke up and chose to whoop his slave master's ass, left, and became a sheriff. That happened. I'm not saying it was a great choice. I'm not saying it was an easy choice. But in some situations, when you just look at history, take opinions and emotions to the side, yeah. Robert Smalls chose to beat up his slave master and leave too. I mean, these people, and then he chose to run for Congress after he chose to go back down and free his wife and his friends from slavery. There are lots of black people who chose to leave that motherfucker. That's the whole story of the Great Dismal Swamp is about. Black people out the tens of thousands chose to leave those hoes. These are conversations we gotta have. Damn emotion. I don't give a damn how nobody feel about it. Because maybe if we look into the story of those who choose to leave, who chose to leave, we can use that as inspiration for those of us who choose to push forward and fight on with the Holocaust we're dealing with right now in this country. This room is full of people right now who chose not to follow what ABC News told us is right. These are people who chose to say, hey, wake up one day and say, I've been lied to by these Democrats. We need reparations. These are people who chose, who made different choices. And I'm sure you've paid a consequence with people you know and like in real life because of these choices that you made. Things that didn't seem like choices just 10 years ago. A lot of black people have been choosing to leave the church plantation. Look at Black America in the 90s versus Black America now. The church got about half the amount of people they used to have, especially here in LA. Shit, these motherfucking churches are going from, they was at one point in the 2000s, they was doing goddamn basketball arenas. Shit, now them churches is right back where they belong. And the church the same size as the one you went to with your grandmama. People are making different choices. We got to acknowledge that. We got to talk about these things. And I'm not going to cancel him because that's his opinion. I wouldn't, would I have said that? No. Would I have said that in front of white people? Hell no. That's not me. Fuck no. But that was his choice. So, and then when it comes to that, you know what I mean? That's little shit compared to your goddamn ability to make money being taken away because of an opinion. While you got these other rappers out there rapping and singing about bullshit every day, and we're Jay-Z. On one hand, we talk about the gangster rap, but let me, and I'm gonna get right back to you, Afro Elite. I just saw your hand. Let me make this one point. We always focus on gangster rap, but there was another form of rap to me that was much more devious than gangster rap, and that was the mid '90s to the mid 2000s. Spend all your money on hoes and clothes era of rap. I call 96 to 07 the fuckboy era of hip hop. That was niggas really worship Jay-Z for saying 30's new 20 because I have a better bra and a better automobile. Niggas really looked at that shit like it was a song of maturity. No, he just told you he's spending his money on better shit. That's not maturity. That's being a better consumer. That consumerism era of rap of the early 90s. And I'm sorry, I live down the street from a fire station, and this ambulance is about to make somebody die. God damn, that's a slow ass ambulance. That ambulance is driving as fast as the ice cream truck. Whoever's in that motherfucker is croaking right now. But back to what I was saying. What was I talking about before that slow ass ambulance came? Oh yeah, I was talking about the fuckboy era of hip hop. That was because everybody didn't become a gangster. But I was a loan officer 2002 to 2009. I paid my way through college cash, hustling loans. I saw what happened during that era, during that fuckboy era of hip hop, when the hottest song was "The Women in the Caviar." They know who we are, cause we pimping all over the world. Excuse my voice. But I remember what was happening. I was cashing out loans back then. And what was we doing when black people owned Inglewood? When we still owned South Central? We was taking out that equity. And I'm like, at least, Miss Wilson, upgrade your kitchen, put some money back into your house so you can increase the equity. But between 2000 and 2008, housing prices were skyrocketing. Y'all think we skyrocketed right now. Look at the difference between 2000 and in 2000, you could buy a house in South Central LA still for about $100,000. And by the time 2009 came, the cheapest house in the bottom of the hood was $750,000. Now it's over $1 million. But that's the kind of increase that was going on. And during that pimping all over the world era of hip hop, black people were taking out the loans, equity from the house that their mama left them, and buying Lexus GS300s, buying when that Chrysler 300 dropped, oh my God, the nigga Bentley, the nigga Phantom, when that 300 dropped in the early 2000s, boy, it had the big wheels and the fake Phantom grill. Niggas was taking the equity all up out them houses, doing these option arm loans that gave them a variable rate so they can get it. Because back then, if you bought a house in the 90s, you had a 6% interest rate on a $90,000 balance. I was taking out your equity and giving you $200,000, and you cashing out that $100,000, and with that $100,000, your mortgage actually decreased by $100 a month because the rates were so fly. But during that fuckboy era of hip hop, what was we doing when we had that equity? Spending the money on hoes and clothes. And that's something that Kanye was a victim of, and something that he preached when he got on the mic. Because rapping about being fly, rapping about wearing this label or that label is what was the thing of the fuckboy era of hip hop. And during the last decade, black people actually owned the neighborhoods we lived in. Pre-gentrification, the last time we had a chance to surely solidify our base in our neighborhoods, we spent our money on hoes and clothes. And that's why I'm asking, what's more dangerous, Kanye's words or these degenerate rap lyrics? Because I include spending your money on hoes and clothes and bullshit as part of degenerate rap lyrics. Go ahead, Afro Elite.
Okay, thank you. I want to clear my original statement up just in case it might have been misinterpreted. I take death threats very seriously. I've received death threats, and I do feel like people who do advocate for the community, I feel like they should be protected. I don't feel like you defending the community, you advocating for the community means you should face the consequences of people who don't want you to do that more than rappers or artists and such, because it seems often as if they get more defense than people who actually do advocate for black empowerment. So I fully agree with that. I fully take that serious. When I said that he made his own bed for himself, I mean throughout the course of years, he has been saying some things that's turned a lot of black people away. And that, despite that not, despite that being small fries in comparison to the big issue right now, that is something that I would like to warn people to stay away from, because when you put yourself in a bad position and then when you need help, it's more difficult to receive that help. That's why we're having a debate right now between the conscious community if we should even care about the Kanye West situation. You have people in the conscious community all like, hey, I don't even give a damn. He's been saying all of this stuff. You should never put yourself in a situation where black people are like, I don't give a damn what happens to you. So that was that was what I meant behind that statement. Now, in this particular situation, as I explained before, I do feel like this is bigger than Kanye. I feel like this is bigger than Kanye. I feel like even if Kanye lost maybe Adidas or one thing, yeah, that might have been that. But the fact that he's losing banking from J.P. Morgan, despite the fact that J.P. Morgan does banking with open white supremacists and they don't have a problem. The fact that J.P. Morgan actually originated from slavery, which a lot of people might not know, J.P. Morgan and a lot of other American banks originated from slavery, and they openly bank with white supremacists and alt-right organizations, but they won't bank with Kanye West because of something that they determined was anti-Semitic. That is a form of white supremacy. That is a form of racism that we have to fight against. And it doesn't matter who it was. We can't stand or allow injustice to affect us just because we don't like the individual. We have to look at the bigger picture and look at the situation and how this affects the entire group. I feel like as far as his music goes, Kanye's music and even his statements, whether you say slavery was a choice, which I agree with you, Dwan, I don't think was as bad, and I'm going to wrap it up soon. Even all of the statements that he's made, I feel like you have rappers out there who push much more harmful narratives, because if you listen to Kanye's music, Kanye doesn't really push out any like super degenerate, harmful, drugging yourself to death, suicide. He really doesn't push that type of music out. He kind of has his own like style or genre almost to a degree. And you have rappers who not only do that stuff in their music, who do that stuff in real life. You have rappers who actually do murder people, actually do assault people, actually do those things in real life, and they don't have nearly as much pushback or cancellation as Kanye is getting right now. So I fully agree with you. The degenerate rap lyrics are far worse and far more harmful, because you can't even really pick out anything Kanye has said, as coolest as it has ever been, that has harmed the mass of black people like you have other rappers. So I definitely agree to the topic of the room. I wanted to clear that up, and I wanted to give my opinion on the topic, and I land there.
Thank you, brother. I'm gonna get to you, Tahini, in 1 second. But I just want to make this quick example in contrast. We're going to compare and contrast. James Brown in the late 60s was the most powerful man in entertainment. James Brown by himself was more powerful than all of Motown. He was more powerful than the Beatles, than the Rolling Stones. James Brown had the seat of power. He was sitting on it firmly because he was great before funk. Live at the Apollo sold 3 million copies in 1963 as a live album, and to sell 3 million copies in 1963 as a full album, that was unheard of at the time. That was before he even got to funk. So when he got to funk, he really revolutionized the world and changed things. But let's compare and contrast what the message was between what he was going through and black people going through in the late 60s versus the 2000s, when black people actually had access to capital. Because there was a brief moment between post 9/11 and 2006, 2007 that black people had somewhat access to resources through very, very low loan amounts, being able to use a house and being able to have some kind of equity. I remember, again, I said I paid my way through college cash. That's how much money I was making during this time, as in my early 20s. So I saw what we had and where we missed the opportunity. The late 60s, James Brown had a lot of militant music. One song was "I'm Black and I'm Proud." Y'all know about that song. But he also had the song called "Funky President" that said, "People, people, we got to get over before we go under." There was a line in that song where he said, "Black people, we gotta save our money like the mob, build up the factory, and own the job." Those are the lyrics of the movies, music back then. This is at a time Black people are getting rights for the first time. This is at a time, if you look at pictures of Black people in the late 60s through the 70s, we had a different air about us. There was a different esteem, a different pride. Chin up, shoulders back. The men look like men. The women look like women. I ain't saying they was perfect, but I am saying, all I'm saying is just take any picture from 1969, 1971, and compare it to any picture of today or the last 30 years. There's a different affect in the energy within the pictures that we take culturally as a people. Don't listen to me, just look for yourself. The music had a lot to do with that. Back then, you had Black people doing what they can do to move into the cities and buy homes. Homes were still affordable at that time. You know, that was one thing that was a little bit different in the 2000s. They started to become less and less affordable. But for those who had the homes, what were they doing with the money? For those who had the access to capital, the access to resources, what were they doing with it? When we had that limited access to resource in the late 60s, if y'all go back and listen to my interview with Judge Joe Brown, we talked about this, and I will be interviewing Judge Joe Brown again pretty soon on my YouTube channel. Follow me at DwannB over on YouTube. I'll be interviewing him again. But there was this limited access to resources Black people had between 1966 and 74. Very limited, but very short amount of time, but they was there. During that time when the music was at a different consciousness, Black people were taking those opportunities and running with them. We literally built like a legit middle class in a generation, because I think the music had a lot to do with it. Martin Luther King always talked about how Aretha Franklin was the energy that he needed. If you go read his book by Tavis Smiley's book, Death of a King, you hear Martin. Listen to Ray Fontroy. He's been in Jesse's podcast. I interviewed Ray Fontroy. He was Martin Luther King's driver. He's still alive. He's a man that you all need to know, Mr. Raymond Fontroy. I interviewed him on my YouTube channel. But he was Martin Luther King's driver. And he always talked about, you know, when he would talk about Martin Luther King and the music and how much Aretha Franklin's music meant to Dr. King and helped him get through. Our music is medicine. And when we made the biggest advancements in our history over the last 150 years, we had a music soundtrack to go along with it. Ain't no stopping us now. We on the move. You know what I mean? There was a momentum behind us that our music floated us through. So when we contrast that to what we're going through right now, we are consistently getting better. Like over the last 10 years, Black people are getting more revolutionary. Black people are getting more conscious. Over the last 10 years, we're building. But can you imagine what that would sound like if we had a soundtrack to go along with it? Go ahead, Ty Henny. Ty Henny, there?
Ty, you can unmute yourself. Okay, go ahead, Afro. You can go.
Okay, I wanted to second what you just said, Brother Dwann. That I fully agree with that. Music, a lot of people need to understand, music is a very powerful thing, because a lot of times you might listen to something and it plays in your subconscious. A lot of times people underestimate how powerful the subconscious is. The subconscious, a lot of people may argue, including myself, is actually more powerful than the conscious mind itself. So when you're listening, whether it's music or a podcast or a speech or whatever, that motivates you, that you feel like empowers you, that starts to play in your subconscious, even if you're not paying attention to it. Like, let's say you're listening to it while you're cleaning up, or you're listening to it in the background. Your subconscious picks up on all of that stuff. So that stuff continues to empower you. When you're listening to things, vice versa, when you're listening to things that are over sexual, degenerate, when you're listening to murder and drugs and getting high and doing all of this very degenerate, very inhumane action, all of these things, that stuff also plays a negative effect in your subconscious mind. So we do have to kind of transform, and I'm not saying that every single rapper or every single song needs to be super conscious or whatever the case is, but I'm saying that we do need to decrease the degeneracy in our rap lyrics, because that stuff does play a negative effect in the subconscious mind of black people, and the dominant society knows that. That's why they keep trying to market that to us. That's why they pretty much only allow that type of music to be played on the radio.
Look like you're going into the Matrix, brother. I think Afro Elite's in the Matrix. But saying a good point, because yeah, are you there? Yeah, he's leave out and come back in, brother. So yeah, leave out and come back in. Yeah, but music, and we always must go back and look at the, like Neely Fuller says, the usual suspects. Black people never said we don't want to hear the OJs sing about family reunions. Frankie Beverly and Maze ain't released an album in 30 years. They still sell out every city they go to. Our music is inherently positive and uplifting when we left to our own devices. That's just what it is. It's them folks that put that music in front of us. They sign these less than talented artists that ain't gonna be talking about shit. It's up to us to reject it, and also at the same time to play what's out there. Because if you're gonna tell it B100 all the way with the truth, yes, hip hop is great, but part of the reason why they're celebrating it so much and they're pushing it out there, because it's our lowest, most simple form of music that we've created over the last 150 years. So the lowest vibration. Now you do have high vibration hip hop, but high vibration hip hop ain't what went across the world. This bullshit that they've been pushing over the last 20 years has. Not the real shit from the 80s and the early 90s. And so, when it comes down to it, it's this the form that with no live instrumentation, no strings, no horns, no humans, no soup, no production, because music is supposed to be a community effort of live souls being put into the sound, and that's what gives us that life breath when we listen to it. When you make everything quantized and put on a computer, it's basically your music is plastic now. It's extremely plastic, and it's easy to produce. It's cheap to produce, and it's of a vibration that other cultures can get down with it. You know what I mean? So we got to know. That's why we as a people got to get back into all forms of our music. We got to get back into the blues. We got to get back into jazz. Got to get back into rock, heavy metal, our forms, the ones that's done right. We got to get back to diversifying our music palette, because what they've done with hip hop, they've boxed it in so much. It's just become this repetitive thing that doesn't have any things, especially if you stuck onto what they're playing in the mainstream, of any kind of value that can do anything good for you. We got to step back and diversify our sound. But Tahini, you back?
Yeah, man, I'm on the road. Can y'all hear me?
Yeah, we hear you.
All right, that's a bit. Appreciate you, my brother, man. Peace to the fam. I agree with what you're saying, man. For me, I was feeling like the 60s really the time when we started going backwards, doing stuff that we don't usually do as a people. I'm only 26 years old, but, me looking through history, talking to my grandparents, stuff like that. As far as Kanye, like Kanye,
Real quick, what do you mean by, I want to get back to that point. What do you mean by going backwards? Like in what way? I want to just want to be clear.
So like, we didn't have the Black Wall Streets. We didn't been the most married here. We was a part of a big part of the GDP here and producing a lot here and creating a lot here. We were actually producing things. Now we don't produce anything. We had trades in our schools, right? Things like that. We ain't got that no more. We had our own schools, right?
That
I
that
think
didn't happen in the '60s though.
I'm saying before the '60s. Before the '60s.
In the no,
Before,
yeah, even in the '60s, we still had that. We still had that actually through the '70s.
right? I'm saying I feel like that's when we started going backwards. I feel like we started going the wrong direction with integrating, allowing people to control our narrative and the stuff that gets pushed out and pumped through our communities.
Integration was
And
definitely
immigration, yeah,
I said,
yeah, stuff.
integration. That wasn't a good thing.
Integration wasn't a good thing. Immigration wasn't a good thing. When you look at who funded all of that stuff, it's like, wow, okay, the same people, right? Uh, Black Wall Streets, us practicing group economics. I think that's something we definitely need to get back to. A black-owned bank. We know who. Everybody knows what Kanye's talking about. Me with the Kanye situation. Look, I don't rock with Kanye like that. I've never been a big fan of his by any means. I understand what he was trying to do, but at the end of the day, coming from Kanye, like all the all the stuff that he done did in the past, you done married a white woman and all this, but then you want to come out when what I'm saying, I guess things ain't going your way, and then you want to try to expose somebody or something. But Kanye ain't doing nothing but exposing himself. He did business with those people for the last 20 years. He knew what he was from the day he signed up. But 20 years later, you want to act like, you exposing something and you about to be a big hero.
So are you saying
So I just,
that because we all can start off on one way. So when you do something, you realize you're being duped. You sign a contract, you realize some BS, and you because we live and learn. You know what I mean? You're 26, so you're on your way. Kanye's 45. It's decisions you making right now at 26 that you'll never make at 45 years old. So you
yeah,
make it now 25 years old. You're dealing with these people who tied you in basically for the rest of your life, and now you realize it's some BS. Are you supposed to at that point just keep your head down and keep working, or
nah,
what do
of
you
course
do?
not. I agree you should say something, but you gotta be realistic about it. You knew about a lot of this stuff. Let's say maybe not when you was 26, at least when you was 36. You married a white woman, right? You married a white girl. Her parents are Jewish, right? This is a white Jew. The same people you talking about, you got a Jewish daughter. You know what I'm saying? So I just think it's a little contradicting. Not to stop the message, because the message that he pushing is perfect. No problem with it. And I'm not saying that I don't mind that it's coming from Kanye. It's just a little contradicting is all I'm saying. Neither
Gotcha.
here nor there. I agree with a lot of stuff that, he said. We all know what's going on. They own the world banks. They own, these Jewish people, the same people that talking about be racist, but they want to talk about anti-Semitism. The rap lyrics are a problem in our community, and we know who's funding that. You know, somebody said, "Oh, if Kanye dropped an album, it would go viral. It would go." Where is Kanye gonna drop an album? On Apple Music? I'm not gonna let him do that.
He
On
got his own
Spotify?
app. He
Right,
got
right.
his own app where he dropped his last one.
He got his own app.
His last app,
Wow,
Donda 2, dropped on his own app.
I didn't know Kanye had an app, but I'm pretty sure these
Yeah,
people
because
would
he has
try
it
to.
on his own app.
Right, so I'm pretty sure these same people would try to do everything to get Kanye and Kanye app up out of there if they really wanted to. Put some fake charges on him. Get a bunch of women to.
Your phone breaking up, brother, but we heard what you had to say, man. You had some dope shit to say. Sister, it sound he in the matrix now. Sister, I think you were next.
Hi everybody, peace and blessings. I wanted to mention something, another part of the reality. Yeah. First of all, just because Kanye is whatever he is in the United States, over here in Europe or in Africa or other places, he's not. He's nothing. He's not famous. Nobody's buying his tennis shoes or being pimped for his ugly clothes. That's not.
That
It's
was a
not
year ago.
happening.
That's not
It's
cap.
not.
He's selling shoes in Europe for real, for real. But go
No,
ahead.
no, no. His wife is famous, but she's famous, but he's not internationally.
He's selling out now.
As
I got to push back there. Now he's selling
no,
out stadiums.
no,
He's
I
selling
live in
out stadiums around
Africa
the world.
and in Europe most of the time, and I'm from California. Believe me, it's a different. It's a lot of times the United States. We say like we think because we're like the world's mentality and what's going on in the world. Yeah,
I,
and then
I, I'm saying, I know someone who was on one of his tours. That's all I'm saying. Like, no, he's selling out stadiums over there too.
yeah,
But
where
go
did he
ahead.
go? London? Was he somebody in France? No. Was he somebody in Netherlands? No. Was
I
he
can't
anything
believe
in
that.
Germany?
I
He's
can't
not that
But
big. If he came here, he was in Offenbach.
I can't
Uh,
believe that
okay,
the
you
way
don't have to
people
believe
worship our
that, but
culture
yeah,
overseas,
yeah, I'm
I
not
just
gonna
can't
let that
believe
no,
slide.
that's true.
okay. There was a time when our music was being worshipped.
It still is.
That's true. But since all of this um NB whatever music, I don't want to say the word, but the N word and the B word, then that just basically took it out, and most people are not listening to that.
I
And
got.
then
I
there
said
are
I
other
got to push
amp
back to that
can
because
I finish
it's
talking?
everywhere. But go ahead.
But
Okay,
just
and
understand
there are
that
artists, there are artists out there. Yeah, Michelle Indisaglio is an example. Yeah, or Gregory Porter is an example. And then we have Living Colors as also an example. And then we have Skunk Anisi. And these people, they do the rock, the soul, the blues, the jazz, the R&B, and they're more globally accepted than what the United States is bringing out now. And you're not really seeing the U.S. artists except for Beyonce. She's still popular, but nobody wants to hear that type of music because it's degrading to to women, and it's degrading to all African heritage people that are globally that are more awoken than we would like to believe. Yeah. And so nobody's buying his clothes here. Seriously, he came out with sneakers and clothes and t-shirts and tried to sell all of these things that are no different than any other person who's from Kick or whatever that brought their clothes from sweatshops and maybe Philippines or Asia somewhere or in India. And so I'm just saying reality. The last time he was really popular here, he brought out a record. I think it's called Diamonds Are Forever, and that became popular. But then after that, he basically he fell to the side, and so I'm more of a global citizen. Yeah, and I live in Europe, I live in California, and also I live in Africa. And so I'm telling you that really it would be nice to believe, yeah, it's like with war, that the whole world is thinking like the United States, but that's not the case.
I get it. Now, do you have anything you want to speak towards the topic?
No, I just wanted to mention that Michelle Saglio, she wrote something in her lyrics, and she says the problem is that in our community, stateside, if the people are too busy being satisfied by the flesh that they are fed. And so the thing is that we have to take a responsibility for ourselves and our community. We should have done that in the very, very beginning, when it went from "Ain't no woman like the one I got" and "Bitch better have my money." Then something should have told us as thinking people that this is not a good influence for us because of the power of the science of the mind.
But let,
okay.
but let's
Okay.
be clear because people did push back. Hip hop didn't come through unfazed. Hip hop had whole congressional hearings. Hip hop didn't come through because and people did not accept hip hop when it came through. Hip hop had a. I remember in America in the '80s and the '90s,
I
hip hop was
remember.
rejected. It was pushed back. The adults did not like it. You had the
Yeah.
president talking about it. If you went to a black church, youth service, you had to hear about hip hop every Sunday about how demonic it
Yep.
was. So
Yep.
We want
But then what happened?
to bring truth to what's going on. But
But
thank you,
what
sister, for what
happened?
you said. I
Oh,
appreciate. I
okay.
Thank you
appreciate.
for coming on stage, Sister Oracle.
Okay.
Thank you
Peace
so
and
much. We're going to get
blessings.
to some other speakers now because there's some people who have been waiting, but thank you so much for coming on stage and sharing your views. The next person is going to be Melrose. Then I'm not quite sure. I'm thinking it was Dayon before Afro and then Naturally. So correct me if I'm wrong, but I know for a fact that Melrose is next.
Go ahead, Melrose.
Peace, family. Am I coming through loud and clear?
Sure.
Yo, Dwan B, it's a pleasure to be in your space. Shouts to Nikki. I wanted to speak on the title of the room, Kanye's words versus degenerate rap lyrics. What's worse? I personally think and believe that the degenerate rap lyrics are worse than what Kanye has said, and I also personally have been hurt and offended by the Kanye's words and his actions in the past years up until now. I've been offended and hurt by his words and actions, but not more so than the degenerate rap lyrics that comes from rappers, especially the non-foundational Black American rappers. Cardi B is allowed to just say nigga at will. Um, Drake wore blackface, and then he also had a line where he said, "Don't make me send you back to the hood." He was raised by a white woman with blonde hair in Canada, but that lyric was specifically aimed and directed at foundational Black American women. And nobody got upset over that. When did we as a people start getting so offended by something that someone says, let alone an artist, a rap artist who, we shouldn't be putting that much stock into anyway? Not to denigrate our brothers and sisters that are musicians and artists, but yeah, I never held Kanye to that regard to where, oh, he's a spokesperson for us, to where if he says something like the transgressions that he says, oh, that's a surprise. I expect him to say stuff like that. But what I wanted to ask you, because I tuned in late, I'm just now tuning in, and I know you've been going for a while. My whole thing, I started to see like a change in Kanye and the reception towards him around the him versus 50 Cent thing back in the day, where it was his graduation album.
Graduation when 50 Cent threatened to retire. But go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah, versus Curtis. And the way that I perceived that back then, I said, hey, he's getting a lot of fake support. And it's like these people are supporting him because if Kanye wins, that's like them kicking the real niggas out of rap. Like the streets is over now, and now the soft niggas and just just non-black men, just masculinity can leave the building, and now we can have all these soft moist simp niggas come in, and that's what happened. I just wanted to know if you had any perspectives on that time period and that whole graduation versus Curtis album thing.
That's
And
a
I'm gonna
great
be out
question.
there. Peace.
Please. That's a great question because that was an interesting era. I remember 2007 when that happened. I'll never forget that. I was again, that was the era that I was a victim of the spending money on shit you didn't need. I'm over here 25 years old buying a goddamn $80,000 Audi A6 for God knows what. I would never do no shit like that now. I love my Honda. But I was into the music. The music was saying, hey, Dwan, that Accord is probably the best thing you get, but you can afford the Audi A6. That payment ain't shit. And I'm doing it because of the music. And a lot of that was at 50, that whole era of music. What I saw happening then was there was a whole tough boy slash rich. It was the rich gangster era. I'm a gangster and I'm rich. And I think a lot of people were actually getting tired of it. Because remember, this is also around the same time Nas drops Hip Hop is Dead. People are growing tired of the spend the money, I'm gangster, I'm tough. So Kanye offered a different path in rap. Kanye took us back to the late 80s, early 90s, when you could just be a regular dude and rap. You didn't have to be tough and you didn't have to be rich. Even though he did talk about, flossing, but he was actually very Kanye was very candid about putting his when you look at the song, what's the name of that last song? So raising the glass for you. That song, at the end of the first album, that song where he's talking about making it. You know, I forgot the name of that
Last
song.
call.
Last call.
Cheers to the rock, Mr.
Yeah,
Rockefeller. Yeah.
I love that song. But Last Call, one of the most inspirational songs ever. I love Last Call, and I'm always gonna thank Kanye for Last Call. Because when I need some motivation, I'm listening to Last Call. Because my road in comedy was the long route. Because I talk this real shit. So Last Call got me through a whole lot of self-doubt in this game. You dig? So, but in that song, he talks about putting Pele on layaway and how he always had to look fresh. And on that album, and he has different times in the album where he's very, very, very candid about being vain, and he's conflicted about it. It's like, why am I spending my money on this shit? But at the same time, I can't stop spending my money on this shit. You hear that conflict in that theme all through his early music. So we can relate to that level of humanity that he had in the lyrics. At the same time, 50 Cent represented that hyper gangster, get money at all costs. I forgot he had a movie called Get Rich or Die Trying. He represented that archetype that cats just is flat out tired of, because by the time we get to the mid 2000s, we realize these niggas ain't tough. In the early 90s when hip hop and late 80s when gangster rap came out, them niggas wore Jerry curls. And I don't know if y'all was around back in the late 80s. Anybody that wore a Jerry curl was a gangster. If you still wearing a Jerry curl in 93, you done killed at least 17 people. If you were a Jerry curl, if you had cornrows, like cornrows are like regular, like cornrows and braids, you got regular ass dudes wearing cornrows and braids now. But if you had cornrows and braids in 91, nah, you the nigga that murdered the ice cream truck man. That's how evil you was if you had cornrows and braids in 1992. So when the gangster rap first came out, a lot of us halfway believed it. Especially me, we was young, like people. I was 12 when the Chronic dropped. You know, you halfway believe it, and a lot of people did because they were real gangsters. But by the time you get to the late 90s, early 2000s, you take it a step back, and you like, man, all these niggas can't be gangsters now. But the music kept coming at us hot and heavy. These niggas is gangsters, and they all gangsters, and they all rich. Jay-Z. DMX was like the last real regular nigga. After DMX, everybody had to be flashy, cashy, and gangster. Former drug dealer. So when Graduation dropped, and Kanye was 2 albums in, he was 2 albums in. We loved them first 2 albums, College Dropout and Late Registration. I like Late Registration a little more than College Dropout. And he drops Graduation, and Graduation was hot, man. That flashing lights, nigga. I think Hollywood still play flashing lights every night. I ain't been at a club in a minute, but the last time I went, they did. That was something refreshing. We no longer had to be tough, and you realize half these tough niggas ain't tough. That was the thing that made people tired of that tough boy era of hip hop. It's not that they were rejecting masculinity. It's just that cats realized, man, you niggas ain't that. Let me go listen to the dude that at least he honest about being a cornball. I respect this honest cornball more than I respect a fake gangster. And so when 50 Cent put out that challenge saying if Graduation outsells my album, I'm going to retire, I remember that. I remember when I first read that. I was at my homeboy's house in Century City when I first heard that. And I was like, let's go down and buy this Graduation album right now. Not that I was the biggest Kanye fan at the time, because I like Kanye, but still, y'all know me, I'm still more into Earth and the Fire than I am hip hop. But I went and got it not because the album was good, but really because, like, no, I'm tired of these fake ass gangsters. All you niggas ain't tough. And I think that's what that was about. I know I was mouthy on that. I think Rashad. No. Who was next, Nikki?
Okay, so here's the cue. And plus, Dr. Short is on
Oh,
stage.
Dr. Short is here. But real quick,
You want to
So
let him go quick?
no, not
I
yet. I
do.
want the people who are waiting. I want them to make their comments, make them brief, because I don't want y'all to wait. I want Dr. Short to cook. So for the
Okay,
people
so
with their hands up,
so
make brief comments, then we'll get Dr. Short.
okay, so it's going to be Diane, natural. It's Diane, Afro, and naturally, and then there was
Then Ruben.
Ruben, yeah,
Yeah.
and then it was supposed to be Dr. Short, and then Rashad. So we figure out if how we want to do it.
All right, y'all let them make quick comments. I know Dr. Short's gonna cook, so I want y'all
Okay,
to make your comments, make them brief, and
okay,
then
Diane, can
short.
you like 2 minutes or less or something like
Yeah,
that? You want a minute, Dwan?
a minute.
Yes,
Okay,
yes.
one
I was
minute.
just Yes, thank you for letting me speak. I was just listening to everyone talk, and I just wanted to say that, we all have to be mindful that we are in, a system of white supremacy, all of us, and we weren't all born enlightened and knowing everything about being black or the white way to be black. We might have coon, but I feel like it's not a life sentence. People can change, and we just gotta have empathy for each other, and we can't be doing the same thing that the enemy, is doing. Is how you gonna fight? I just wanted to say that. Thank you.
I
Thank you,
appreciate,
Diane.
I appreciate that. We do have to have empathy when people show. Man, I ain't saying go around and forgive people like Karen Bass that's intentionally doing it. Fuck people like that. But you see people, it's people that was cooning back. One of my best friends was a major coon when we was in college. But the brother just, it took him a little while. When he got into his 30s, he saw what it was. So, I'm willing to forgive people, especially if you show that true intention of empowering yourself now. Because the United States makes you born into coonery. Basically, if you watch any Disney cartoon, you can't do nothing but hate being black. If you watch one TV commercial as a 3-year old, you're gonna hate being black. But next, who's that? Rashad or Natural?
It was supposed. Yeah, go ahead, Nat.
Oh, I was gonna say it was Afro, and then it was me.
Afro, are you ready to speak, Afro?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay. I'm gonna be as quick as possible. I feel, in my opinion, now I feel like there's a difference between saying something in a rap and then saying something outside of rap. I feel like a lot of people floss and a lot of people flex and a lot of people say things that aren't true because they know it sounds cool in a rap song. But I like to listen and pay attention to what people say in interviews and what people say outside of rap because that shows me like another avenue or a deeper avenue as to what they truly believe in. And if we're comparing apples to apples in the music industry, um, you have a lot of other artists who have said and done actual criminal things, who have done much more egregious things to black society. You have rappers here, and I'm not trying to, I'm really not trying to go there with it, but you actually have rappers who have murdered people. And then when they pass away or whatever, it's R.I.P. King Von, R.I.P. all of these people, and they've actually done harmful things. You can't really say Kanye West has done anything harmful. Yes, he said things that are off code. He's done things harmful to himself. But when you compare apples to apples, which is the only thing I'm doing right now, we have to keep the same energy with all of the other rappers, and we're not doing that because the dominant society is trying to kind of manipulate us into not doing that. They're trying to put Kanye out as an op to black society, which I'm not saying that he's a hero, but I'm saying that if we compare everybody's rap or paperwork, then Kanye is not the worst. Not nearly, not even in the top 10. And I'll land there.
That's real talk. That's real talk. I 100% agree with that. Naturally, you're next.
Okay, thank you, Duan B and Nikki. I just wanted to make a comment to the older woman that was speaking and also to the topic. Basically, yes, we could tighten up on some of our degenerate rap lyrics, but every rap song that have cussing in it is not degenerate. And far as the older woman that was speaking, it doesn't matter how well traveled you feel you are. If you don't listen to certain music, you wouldn't know how that music is selling and who's following that music. He is loved across. More white people love Kanye than we do. He is celebrated across in all these other countries she was talking about. Yes, he is. Maybe she don't know because she don't listen. But what I don't like is when a lot of older people, they come in talking about rap music like, hey, we had Between the Sheets. That was nasty song. Yeah, it was love making songs. We had White Lines. That was talking about drugs. So it's just that a lot of older people don't like the rap lyrics because all they hear about is bitch, 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 and ho, ho, ho. It's a whole bunch of genre rappers out there that don't have that same type of rap lyrics. Yes, we can tighten up on it, but I don't like to hear older people just come in and just want to wash all rap out when a lot of that music back then they called baby making music. It was sexual music. So what's the difference? To me, yeah, no, they wasn't calling nobody no bitch or hoes, but they damn sure was talking about doing drugs and boning back then. So I just want to tell her, just because you're well traveled, you've been to other places, he is liked in all those places that she talked about. She probably don't know because she don't listen to that type of music. So I just want to tell her she was incorrect, and I'm laying there.
I appreciate that because you're right. You're right. What was James Brown talking about when he said "shake your money maker"? What's the money maker? Huh? There's always been degenerate lyrics in music. You got all kinds of it's all kinds of lines historically in different. Make my funk the P funk. That song was about pure cocaine. That was about no. Parliament didn't want their cocaine cut, so make my funk the P funk. I want my funk uncut. It ain't nothing new. Rashad, say something. We gonna get to Ruben real quick, and then I'm gonna let Dr. Short take as much time as he want to take. Go ahead, Rashad.
Yeah, I'm gonna make it quick. I just find the big blatant contradiction between the two as it pertains to Kanye. Don't get me wrong. I know Kanye is a full coon for everything he said, but I think that we don't put enough light on the coons that are popularized amongst Black society. For instance, like we know Kanye isn't really the number one favorite in Black society because of the coon stuff he said, but we got rappers that, or people who are either former rappers or who are rappers who are popular amongst Black society who's been saying things that's big on heavily coonish. Like respect to Kevin Gates, he done said things like we're the worst race and stuff like that. Respect to Gilly, these individuals who saying stuff like we kill each other every day. And one of the things that always kills me is we want to point at Kanye, and then you'll have these rappers saying stuff like the black community effed up, etc. But then they'll say, "Oh, I was shot out by black people," and I'm like, "Bro, you was in the hood doing all this debaucherousness or debauchery, of course you're going to have certain things happen to you, especially if you're engaging in these activities." So I say all that to say, if we're going to say that Kanye's this super enemy to Black society that people are trying to paint it, we also need to say the same thing to these people who being saying the worst of the worst of about Black society and not getting checked, saying that we're the worst race, saying that black on black crime, and these are supposed to be street dudes that are quote unquote knowledgeable. But that's all I wanted to add on.
Real talk. We live in a time where people care about more what rappers say than what rappers rap. Ain't that some bullshit? Go ahead, Ruben.
Yeah, bro. As far as the topic, Kanye Word versus degenerate rap. I mean, obviously degenerate rap because when the whole war on drugs came through, they used rap music as propaganda. You know what I'm saying? To fuel, uh, to fuel the like the crack cocaine and all that, and glamorize it so they can get niggas into prison and shit. But I mean, I'd be lying though, and I think a lot of us would be lying if we act like we don't like some of these degenerate rap lyrics, nigga. Like the shit do go hard. I can't lie. Like I love the baby. I love the baby. I think he's a great rapper. He raps about bullshit. And me also, I grew up in the 2000s where we had that was to me 2000 was probably rap's most coonish era as far as the dances and the bling bling everything. But then the shit went hard, fam. I mean, the drought mixtapes from Lil Wayne, nigga. One of my favorite bars is even deaf bitches say hi to me. She tell a blind bitch, she say I gotta see. Nigga, the shit went hard. So as bad as the degenerate rap lyrics are, I mean, I think what we need is balance because I think now we're just all the way to like degeneracy. That's all that's being promoted, obviously
Question,
on
Ruben.
purpose.
Quick
But
question. He's my dog. Would you call that degenerate, or that's just shit talk? If you ask me, I wouldn't call that a degenerate lyric.
Okay, yeah, you're right. You're right. Maybe that probably is just shit talking.
When I say degenerate lyric, I'm more so talking about the ones where they're talking about killing other black people and spending your money on bullshit that you don't need, but really, and more so focus on fucking up another nigga, but they ain't got shit to say when it comes to fucking up white folks. Them kind of lyrics. Some lyrics are just shit talk. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Okay, well then on that case, then yeah, I feel you on that. Then yeah, I mean the general rap definitely is obviously worse than Kanye saying, George Floyd knee, the neck or whatever. But yeah, I would say, but they actually kind of go hand in hand though, because when you think about it, the imagery that rap portrays perpetuates the white supremacist talking point that look at these niggas getting killed, they deserve it. Look how they act. So it's almost kind of like, it's not even really like what's worse. It's almost like they kind of go hand in hand with each other. You know what I mean? And with that, I'll drop.
I feel you right there, brother. Now we got Dr. Short. I see you up there. I want to hear about this. Take your time.
Okay, I want to respond to the last comment that the speaker gave. One thing I hope happens to us as a people, that there's certain things that white people say we shouldn't give a damn about. Because, Brother Dwan, thanks to his show, some people contacted me from East St. Louis. And there's a whole region of this country where black people are being poisoned to death. They're dying from cancer in the hundreds. And the white people don't attribute this mass murder to who they are. And they would like to talk about some shooting of criminal element, but we need to be very clear. Even Dr. Martin Luther King, most people aren't familiar, but he gave a speech saying that a lot of what people complain about black people is derivative crime. And derivative crime means a crime that's committed because of a crime. Because we've never been paid, because we're poorly housed, because of all these other things, this contributes to whatever people don't like about us. So if in fact whites have created a system that would make us criminals, that would zone it, would bring in the dope, the guns and everything else, and then sit back hypocritically and criticize those black people that succumb to the trap that was set. And for us to think about what they say, to me is a waste of mental and psychic energy. I mean, really, we're going to have a fuck what they say attitude, even to get reparations, because there are going to be a trillion different arguments about why we shouldn't get. And so one part of being free is getting the people who hate your guts out of your head. I believe this is part of the problem that Kanye has, is he's got the trans-Caucasian broad in his head and other things are in his head. And he's trying to be a black person. In reality, if you've ever seen like Animal House, any kind of movie where the devil and the angels talk to a person at the same time, you have this white devil fuckery, and then you have the black person, angel, talking to you. A lot of times we don't know who to listen to in our own head. We need to stop hearing what people hate us say. Okay? That would help us tremendously. Now, I was going to respond to this degeneracy thing because he made a comment, it's true. A lot of us like nasty stuff in music. Okay. And the nastiness of the music has been around for forever. Bessie Smith, who was a side piece to my great grandfather, would sing a song about dusting a broom. That's talking about getting screwed. I Like a Man That Takes His Time. Jelly Roll Morton is talking about his penis. I mean, it's throughout the music that is not. Excuse me?
I said, and Jelly Roll Morton was a pimp.
Yes, all of this stuff. Jackie Wilson was a pimp. Okay, your love keeps taking me higher. What do you think he's really talking about? I mean, we need to be very clear. Good golly, Miss Marvis sure like the ball. When you're rocking and rolling, I can't hear your mama call. That means he's screwing in someone's house. The mom's calling her. There's another song, One Mint Julep, right? And it says, One Mint Julep is talking about a man screwing someone's daughter who has a bunch of kids by other people. And the father sneaks up on them screwing in his living room with the shotgun. One Mint Julep was the cause of it all. Or I Like a Man That Takes His Time. Or Thomas Dorsey, the father of gospel music, had the biggest record in the country 96 years ago, or actually 97 years ago, called It's Tight Like That. He's singing about a vagina. It was the #1 song. Everybody was singing It's Tight Like That, right? This isn't new. If you're not going to sing sacred music about God or whatever you worship or Jesus or something, then you're going to sing about the flesh, the world. That's what happens. That's why a lot of people call it the devil's music or decent music. It's music that basically keeps it real about what drives people and not necessarily their highest selves, but whatever. We've had killing songs, Stagger Lee, Go Stagger Lee. That was a #1 R&B and pop record, and I think it went big in Europe. And it's sing about a black man shooting another black man for getting his Stetson hat and his money. And Stagger Lee shoots Billy. He shot that boy. You know, that was one of the biggest black songs. So we've had all of this. Superfly, Freddie's Dead.
Beans Incorporated.
Yeah, sure. This is it. It's always there. Marvin Gaye, my cousin, Sanctified Pussy. Excuse me. What's that song? By Parliament Funkadelic. There was a man from Peru that fell asleep in his canoe with his hand on his pee-pee, and he woke up with a handful of goo.
That one you had everybody funking and don't know how. They should have seen the bull funk the cow. They funked this hard.
Yes.
The other song, Go Ahead, Backstage Pass.
Atomic Dog. Why must I feel like that why must I chase the cat? Cat, another word for pussy. It's the dog in me. And the synthesizer has a busting a nut. And they keep, this is what the music is. So, if you want to listen to Mahalia Jackson, the Hawkins, or Yolanda Adams, okay. But if you're going to listen to the music that is not for sacred worship, you get what goes with it. Now, I have an issue with the glorification of violence. I have a problem with misandry in the women's lyrics, and I have an issue with some misogyny. But you know what? There's a song, You Ain't Nothing But a Hound Dog. And Rufus Thomas wrote back, she's just an old bear cat. All she wants is a soup bone. You can wag your tail. She's talking about the penis. I ain't gonna feed you no more. Okay, you said you were high class. I could see through that. Okay, these songs, there's good rocking tonight. It's all implied. So, nighttime is the right time to be with the one you love. And what I say, that Ray Charles's breakthrough record, people are basically simulating sex. Hey, they're doing call and response, but at the same time, that's an undulation. It goes back and forth. Ray Charles's record got banned. It only got to #6 pop. A lot of people wouldn't play it on black stations. This is the devil's music. You're going to go to hell. Sam Cooke, You Send Me. You make me bust a nut translation. Honest you do. Ooh, it's lasted so long. What you think they talking about? Okay, so Disco Lady. Who's making out with your lady while you out making love? These songs over and over and over and over again. This is what Work With Me, Annie. Then Annie had a baby. Then he screwed her so much till Annie had flat feet. Do the twist. Doing the twist is really talking about screwing. Round and around and around.
B.B. King said, don't answer the door. And even if you sick, suffer till I get home. Don't let your mama cross this door. Don't let your sister do. Man, come on. This is old school.
And so we've got to understand that this is, and again, Little Richard, throwing your money away Saturday night, and I just got paid. I'm a fool about my money. Don't try to save. My heart says run, go have a time Saturday night, and I'm feeling fine. I'm going to rock it up. I'm going to rip it up. And ripping, you talk about screwing someone. I'm going to knock it up and ball tonight. I'm going to screw and spend all my money. Drinking wine, Spooty Oodie, you've got all this song. What's the song? Money Honey? If you want to get along with me, if you want to get some, you better help me pay my rent. Or honey love, I need it because it thrills my spine.
Dr.
Give me
Feelgood
some.
by Aretha Franklin.
It's not just Dr. Feelgood. This song, wait a minute, Do Right Man.
Yes.
Basically, you need to screw me. Show some respect means I'm going to get poked tonight. As long as we're together, show some respect. You're going to screw me. Right? Baby, what you got, what you need, tell me something good. Tell me that you like it.
But
All
I
of
do
these
want to
people.
make one thing very clear. You have your screwing music, and then you got the other music talking about things that are far more based than that. And
Exactly.
So we want to draw that distinction because there is screwing music, and the screwing music is and always will and always has been there, and will and should always continue to be there.
I thank the Lord. And it's just like, let's get it on. You sure love to ball. Touch me in the morning. Screw me in the morning, then just walk away. That's Diana Ross. Everybody's nasty. Donna Summer, love to love you, baby. Love is in control. Oh my God. It goes on and on. Spring Affair, you name the artists. And this is a big part of this. So, and I have to say this as a lowly preacher's son. There's a difference between cursing and vulgarisms. Vulgarism is basically vulgar just means common. Dwan and I always get comments. Oh, they cuss so much and cut out on the jokes and stop talking about Stacey Abrams. And in reality, we're talking to our own people. See, we've got a problem. It's a respectability problem. And it's more about respectability because of what white people think instead of what works for us. No people give a goddamn about how we think about what they do. And we walk around with this slave master in our head barking rules. Like, what's that? That there was a movie where Robin Givens was the bossy girlfriend that was telling the guy how often to hump on her and so forth. I mean, counting off cadences and so
That
forth.
was Strictly Business. That was the other girl.
Strictly, I didn't remember. It's Strictly Business. Forgive me for it's. I haven't seen these things in like 30, almost 40 years, man. 30 plus years.
I'm sure that's how Kamala Harris fuck. But go ahead.
Yeah, and I think Maxine too, and Karen Bass from the back. I hope she has a mask because she's probably scared of the pillows and headboard. That thing probably break. Look, we've always had a way of talking and communicating. And it's not pleasant, but the very people who criticize how we communicate, they criticize everything that we do. They criticize our very existence. And they, when you were enslaved, they had barrels where whites didn't like black laughter. They had sumptuary laws where they didn't like black people to look too decent in their clothing. Clothes had to be dirty and raggedy. And then talk about how dirty and raggedy we are.
It's so bad. It's so bad when I talk to Bobby Rush. Because, Bobby Rush, he's 90 years old now. And they complained. He said he always had to face complaints about white folks with him wearing the suit. They thought the blues guys supposed to be in overalls and ragtag outfits, and they were having issues. That's why he sent to the chitlin circuit, because they wanted him to get out the pretty suits, because a black man's supposed to look taggart and tethered.
Well, no, it's not just that. They understand that the careers of prominent black singers, whether it's the Platters were the #1 black group in the world from 1955 to 1960. What got the Platters in trouble was white pussy. Billy Eckstine was on his way to being the black Frank Sinatra. He kissed a white woman and a picture was taken and he's never recovered and his ass has been dead 20 years. They did not want black men to appeal to white women, and we know that doesn't work. I mean, white women even work in funeral parlors to screw black men's cadavers. That's real talk, people. I have folks that work in funeral homes. These white women work in a black funeral home. They can't get it while he's alive, hump on him when he's dead. You can't make us not appeal to people that know they're looking at what's better than what they have. So to me, a lot of this, it's not that I need a steady diet of cussing and so forth. However, Brother Dwan, tell the truth. If we do an interview and I just keep it straight and I don't use one expletive, the views go down. Let me say a word that's called a curse word, then all of a sudden, our people hear. If you've ever had to teach in public school, the teachers that just use all the king's language can't reach the kids. You tell them, get in your fucking seat or I'll break your goddamn head. And you have order in your class. Of course we can do something else. We've always, as a people, had to do and be everything because we've been under pressure. However, when we want to be ourselves, they don't want us to be around them. They don't want us to be a part. They won't let us be a part of them, and they don't want us to be ourselves. When are we going to get to be who we are and not look to be who Africans are? I love them. Or Caribbeans. Why can't we be foundational Black Americans or DAFTA, as I say, or B1? Why can't that be? And damn these other people. And there wouldn't be a, pardon my language, a fucking music business were it not for Black people cussing and singing about what people really want to hear. The only thing that's really taken off culturally that Black people didn't completely shape was the internet. And that's because the internet first became lucrative because white men could buy porn, kiddie porn, in the privacy of their own homes. So even the stuff that they want to tell you is respectable, the big heartbeat of tech is porn, is filth. Their whole system is degenerate, and they're worried about a cuss word here or there. I mean, these are people who poison and drop nuclear bombs on people, and they're worried about me talking about loving pussy. What the fuck? Excuse me. Now, on to Kanye. And I'm speaking out because I'm concerned. I've known Kanye West 32 years. Kanye in 1999 made an agreement with his father not to be a gangster, to be a thug in his music. I know because those were the terms I put to Kanye. Don't go out here and be a stupid ass thug. You're from the suburbs with the mother with the PhD and a father with a whole bunch of degrees. You're bougie. Be you. And don't turn your back on Black people. And I told him in front of his father, Kanye, I get the music business. If you have an album, Kanye, I understand the producers in the record company. They're going to be 10 songs. Dick loves pussy. Pussy loves dick. Dick loses pussy. Dick gets pussy back. Pussy doesn't want dick. Dick still wants pussy. Whatever variety of dick and pussy that you're going to do a song. But put one conscious song, at least one, if you have any control, on your recording. At least just one, if it's just one. I mean, but I get you've got to sell, but don't glorify dope and don't praise Black poverty. Because you didn't.
May I ask you a quick question, Dr. Short?
Yes.
I'm figuring that you probably know this. Do you know when music start being about mostly sex? At what point did that happen in our history?
I think it's always been about
It's always been about sex.
It's look, if you go all the way back, no matter how you're talking about it, if you do it in the white respectable way, you have a androgynous moist dude by the name of Johnny Mathis who likes white men. He's singing about sex, but with orchestration, the way that white people want sex to be talked about. Okay, see, what they're saying is you've got to do everything our way or it's no good, even though we won't listen to it or buy it typically, in order for you to make it. But look, Dinah Washington, what's one of her big records? It's the Dennis song, You Thrill Me When You Drill Me. I mean, you name it. You name the artist, they've got their songs. Upside Down, Boy, You Turn Me. Inside Out, Round and Round. This is talking about getting screwed. I'm coming out, I'm going to be gay. Or I don't care whether it's high level, Sweet Lorraine. I just found joy. I'm as happy as a baby boy with my brand new choo-choo toy. What do you think looks like a choo-choo? With my Sweet Lorraine.
Even Christmas music, you had Clarence Carter singing "Backdoor Santa" and other songs. Santa Baby, she wanted to fuck Santa.
Yeah, she wants to screw Santa, but let's be honest. People made Christmas records, in particular, like the Drifters, the first Drifter group. When you made nasty songs, you made a Christmas album and put a few religious songs on it to calm down the uproar for the nasty stuff you laid down. 60-Minute Man. By the Dominoes, Billy Ward, 60-Minute Man, 60-Minute Man, yeah. If you don't believe I'm all I say, come up and take my hand. I'll rock and roll it all night long. I'm a 60-minute man. They're singing about Under the Boardwalk, which is Kamala Harris's favorite song. Up on the Roof, Screwing on Top of the House. Some kind of Wonderful. And if they're not getting it, there goes my baby. The pussy's left. Where'd she go? Ah! Stand by me. Don't stop giving it to me, really. Keep getting it on. I mean, it's always about that. My thing is, but there's some love in it. There may be less love in the music now, but we and like the song, people would sing back and forth to each other. Different songs to each other. Roll With Me, Henry by Etta James. She sang Screw Me. Roll me while the rolling is good. These were big. These are the number one records of your grandparents and my parents' era. I mean, no matter what you say, the song Goody Goody, it's, someone turned you out. Goody goody for you, goody goody for me. My stuff wasn't good enough, so you got with someone, then they dogged you. Lottie Lottie Miss Claudie by Lloyd Price is singing about a man who gives all his money to the woman he's screwing, and she's still screwing everyone but him. I'm just thinking. They're thinking about Blue Monday. Fats Domino is drunk. I found my thrill on Blueberry Hill. You didn't know that's a vagina, people? You were my thrill on Blueberry Hill. You're about doing it all night. It's very clear what it is. And if I'm not getting it, again, ain't it a shame? My tears feel like rain. Oh, well, goodbye, although I'll cry. It got up and left. I don't care who you're talking about. Sometimes they would sing about getting married, but more often people sing about what goes on. Even the whiteys did a cop in Wake Up Little Susie, and it got banned because basically some teenagers got themselves someone who went out to the movies, not just popcorn. This is. So I can't think of the only time that the music that you think was nice and clean was when you had the white record companies homogenized and they had blacks up under what's called race records, where they didn't give black people much airplay. But once black folks who didn't perform in their, what are these places called? God, Dwayne, I'm getting old. The kind of clubs that they would have down south, and I'm forgetting what you call those things. The dives, the rundown clubs that black folks would have. This music has always been there. Always. Merry Christmas, Baby. That song's sexy as hell. If you really think about it, Earth Angel, all these songs are either begging for, trying to get, complaining about it being gone, or they're in the process of getting. That's a significant amount. I've got sunshine on a cloudy day. What I guess you'll say, ain't too proud to beg. It's so good. This dude will crawl on his chin and beg for it in front of everybody. I Wish It Would Rain is a man written by Penzabene whose wife is screwing another dude. And he commits suicide after the song is written. A lot of this stuff is inspired. So much of it. I'm not sitting in front, with the book. Where Did Our Love Go? Or Stop in the Name of Love is conceived that Lamont Dozier, who just died, is screwing another woman and gets caught with her. And Stop in the Name of Love is what he's saying to try to calm down the broad that wants to fight. It may look cute with the Supremes. Come See About Me.
Please, what do you really think they talked about? You can't hurry love may mean you can't get it, but you'll get it. Just hang on. Love child. The lady's basically saying, I can't give it to you quite yet. Wait, but you're going to get it. Even the nice clean acts. Sugar pie honey bunch. I'm tied to your apron strings where your apron ties it where your waist is. There's nothing I can do. Well, think about where the tie for the apron is, people. They're always telling you what they're up to. So the music has always had this sexual thing. I can't think of anything where if they're using double entendres or they're shading it. If you
But
actually and ragtime, think about it.
yeah,
Scott
particularly
Joplin was
rag.
a yeah, just Scott Joplin's all in whorehouses. This music is all about freaking and fighting. Even coon songs, fighting, screwing, chasing women. It's that's what goes with this music.
Dr. Short, I want to tie it in because I don't want to go too far away from the topic because we're going really deep into sexualized music. I want to make something extremely clear. There's a difference between sexualized music and music that's proposed to screw your life up. I want to get back into that right now because
Oh,
a lot of
absolutely.
the music because we've said a lot about sex music. Sex music always been here. It's always going to be here. That's fine because sex is a part of life, and because we live in such a repressed sexual society, you got people out there that'll make sex music sound like it's a bad thing when sex music is the reason why new people are born every day. So we want to make sure we draw a distinction between sexualized music, music talking about sex, and then music glorifying wet ass pussy, but talking to children. Because there was always an understanding difference between that and difference between music talking about stealing from other black people. Difference between that and music talking about taking sex under false pretense from a woman. We want to draw the
Mhm.
distinction between music about sex. Hold on one second. And that bullshit.
It's the late '80s, Dewan. It's the late '80s. It's crack. It's the resurgent gay movement in response to AIDS. It's a range of things that hit our community, mass incarceration, that's really hitting us in the late '80s, where this gangster stuff comes out because it isn't the dominant music, although you may have had Grandmaster Flash, Houdini, some of these people. This stuff didn't really, 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 really. I'm just talking about hip hop and rap in general. I mean, Walk This Way, Run DMC, and some of these other things. The Fat Boys don't really, really break until after '86, about 3 years after Thriller. That's when this stuff begins to, and even all of that isn't all negative music. But I would say 88, 89, the West Coast people, and then Biggie and some of this, and we have to just say it, one of the most negative people in our race, who I have far more issues with than I ever could have with my dear Kanye, is Diddy. Diddy. Him.
Agreed. I agree.
That's my devil. He's my music Hitler. Okay. I can forgive Kanye. I can't abide Diddy. I didn't like him the first time I ran into him in the '80s. He went to Howard same time. I just don't like him. I never have. I've had the chance to meet him. I refuse to speak to him standing next to him. He's a filthy, wicked man. I'm sorry. If y'all like him, y'all pray for me. I don't like Diddy. I can't like Diddy. And I don't feel too, I mean, what's his name that looks like molded broccoli, Jay-Z or Gazy? I have problems with them.
I agree, man.
Those are kind of people, those are kind of people that inspire anger and rage in me.
Real quick, Dr.
Kanye,
Short. I want to make this one little quick because I'm just saying because I know somebody listening is thinking this. There's some idiot out there that's saying those guys are richer than you. What can you say about them? For guys you thinking that saying that looking into another man's pockets, and you're saying that's the reason why Dr. Short can't criticize him. Get your monkey ass out this room. This is for people who can think. Go ahead, Dr. Short.
Well, look, I'm going to go with the scriptures. What does it profit a man to gain the world and lose his soul? In fact, what does it profit a man to gain the world and sell out the soul of his people? I mean, let me just say this to all of you. It's Kanye today. It'll be Diddy and Jay-Z tomorrow. All of them have done and said stuff worthy of them being busted. Kanye has not done the kind of damage on any level of a whole lot of people poking their mouths out. Okay. And let's also be honest, my people. Catalog music is the music that sells in America now. In fact, people are now manufacturing record players and they're selling vinyl because it, in many instances, does better than streaming. It makes more money and it sounds better, frankly, folks. A lot of the people that are held up are expendable. That's why you see rappers die by the dozens and they'll find another one. You'll have a mixed tape hit or two and then he's dead. These folks don't really sell anymore. The music has been, the newly manufactured and released music has over the last 10, 12 years continued to decline. And people are buying Patti LaBelle, Marvin Gaye, even the white groups that are making money are doing black music from the 80s and 90s. And, you know, I'm just saying.
There was an article released on the Times that 70s music is the most streamed across all platforms.
Yeah, so even the streaming, that people don't like a lot of this stuff. I'm not saying that none of it is likable. And I want to say to you, again, what I want to say of Kanye. I bought his first 3, and it was good. And by the way, if you bought the very first one where Kanye's acting out an argument with his dad, I'm the subject of this first record. The person with the 3 degrees is me that's broke. I'm still broke and I have 5 now. But I don't care about what people have. Look, I could have gotten stuff from Diddy. I was right there. Debbie Allen offered to introduce. I turned her down. I felt that Diddy was a gorilla sissy. I can't prove it, but I hear it all the time. I don't approve of certain things, and it's not how people live their lives privately, but if you're a predator on people, you don't pay people or treat people right. The music business is incredibly dirty. They've killed people. Donny Hathaway, I believe, was murdered. Someone that we grew up around. I have issues with the music business and a lot of stuff, but I'm not jealous of people, and I'm not trying to get into anyone else's pocket. What I'm clear on is that dignity, integrity, and ethics count for something. And if we just dismiss and all you need is money, you're no different from the white people who've genocided and enslaved and ripped off everybody when the only thing that matters is getting. We have forgive me, a debauched taker, winner take all, narcissistic, parasuicidal predator culture that's basically I got mine. And I think it's bad for us. We really need to think a little bit more about everybody having. So you keep seeing people, whether it's in gospel and what's that little sorry dude, Quirk Franklin, that you create this great sound and then you screw everyone and don't share the money. Why are we doing this? Why is that seen as success? That you betray people, you sell dope in your neighborhood, or you make mediocre music, or you denigrate all of the sisters, or the sisters hate all the brothers. This destroy everybody as long as I get mine. A lot of us are more white than the Oath Keepers. I'll stop for a second.
That's real talk right there. We're gonna get back Dr. Short back to cooking, man, because he you know we are, and so a lot of us. You have these conversations, and the name like Jay-Z or Diddy will come up, and the first thing it's usually a dude. Women, I got to give y'all credit. As much shit as niggas talk about women being gold diggers, you never hear women make this statement, but you always hear a nigga make it. Man, he got more money than you. Why are you talking about that person? That's the most slave
You know
minded.
what that? It's worse than that. That's basically a fagonist. That's a bitch type black man. Like when you go to the barber shop and the niggas who've never checked their kids' report cards or paid child support are talking about who's got a new shoe line and who's starting off with $10 million per game. Haven't you been around powerless black men who live their lives through other people that have achieved something? Instead of achieving something themselves, they live through other people.
Vicarious.
Yeah, it's vicarious. It's like thinking because if you bust a nut, I'm going to bust one too. No, I won't. That's why I think porn is so stupid. How can I enjoy somebody screwing and it's not me? That's insulting. I mean, he got some and I didn't. I'm watching. That's cause for a fight. I mean, somebody got to cut me in, or I'm not going to sit here and watch this. I mean, just because you had a lobster thermidor, it's not going to make me have a shit an hour or two later. We need to get what we want for ourselves, or be thankful for those that make it, but don't measure ourselves against others. It's coveting. I don't covet what Diddy has. I don't covet what Cornel West said. I know some of these people's kids, whatever. I'm like, damn. I have learned, and we need to learn on a certain level to be thankful for what we do have as we aspire to get more or do better. There's nothing wrong with that. But I'm not jealous of Diddy. I know folks with money. I've met billionaires. I mean, but it's not like they're going to give you any money. It's not like a lot of these people, I mean, let's just deal with it. One of my favorite shows is Perry Mason. What it's always about? White folk killing each other because they don't want to share money with close friends and family. And a lot of us are like the old Perry Mason. People get and they don't share. And sitting up hoping or thinking, well, I'm their nephew, I should get. We're really not entitled to what anyone else has except for what we get for ourselves. And we should have the same, forgive me, folks, everybody's blowing up my phone and it's throwing my phone off. Are y'all hearing me?
Yeah,
We hear you.
Yeah, oh my God. Like I got like 5 calls. People need to leave me alone. Look, we should learn how to be happy for one another when we succeed and also happy for ourselves. We need to have some sense of contentment to even be able to take stock of where we do have a blessing or where we have a place that we need to work on ourselves, how to improve, to be better. A lot of us slum. We sit up and say, man, Diddy, man, he had 5 bottles of Cristal and man, he had on a platinum thong when he was with her. And I'm thinking, it's like they're voyeurs. And they've been brainwashed by the racist white media to be obsessed with celebrities and personalities. These folks aren't doing anything for us. We need to do for ourselves. We should be focusing in on the Dwan Bs or the Lioness or Sister Nikki or Sister Eve, people that we know that are adding value to our lives that we can touch, that touch us. It's way more important than famous people. I've been around, and so have you, Dwan. Famous people are weird as hell. I don't want to be famous. If it happens, it's the will of the Most High. But I would rather have the affluence of people that are famous and the influence of people that are famous, but not have the fame. It will mess people up. My buddy who worked with Luther Vandross, worked with Prince, talk about how these people suffer from being overexposed to people. So I am not envious of any people.
It's very lonely.
It's very lonely. And I've met a famous person or two or more and gotten to know folks. And I know some people that have been famous and how it shapes people, or people who never attain the fame that they once had again. It's like chasing the dragon. So I don't envy it. Would I like to have a little more money? We all would. Am I jealous of someone who I don't know who's got a Bentley? I can't afford a bicycle. I'd be happy to just be able to get on Uber when I need it. I'm not worried about it. So But you know what? We have a culture, that brotherfucker culture I was talking about, Dewan, as well as the BMB, black male bitch, and black bastard BBs. We have a lot of heavy, heavy bitch culture among a lot of men. And just because I don't know if you didn't have your daddy hug you, or you afraid you're gonna get an erection if someone shakes your hand. I don't know what it is. Okay, you got to dip into every pussy to make certain that you're straight. I don't know, or you're mad that somebody's got someone. A lot of black men need to work that insecurity out. Stop measuring themselves by the society that hates them, their standards. And don't deal with a black woman if she's a pork chop feminist and she's measuring you against J.R. Ewing. You shouldn't be with her. In fact, no pussy is that good where you're disrespected, where you're depersonalized. You have to almost become a human dildo to get some and they don't like you. You're a sorry ass man if you put up with that.
Real talk. I said we have Miriam on stage. Do you have a question? Something you want to say? Go ahead.
Yes. Good afternoon, Brother Dewan and Sister Nikki, and shout out to you always, Dr. Short. And what's up, B Silla? Much love and respect to those in the room. That's quite. I have to take my hat off and even bow to the great Dr. Short because he said whoa, more than a mouthful. And it was deep and it was all around and encompassing because that's what we need, a big spectrum from A to Z on that. My what I would say also to add on to the conversation, I would like to hit across 5 quick points. You're right. Sexualized music is different from overall I would call just vulgarity and what I would call genocidal music that is pushed forth by white supremacy. um like you have the drill music and you have other forms of music that was just created to cause death and destruction in our communities because even in those in a studio, I remember when that stuff was first coming out and you had we had a couple of brothers around here with their own little studios and it was like putting them into trances and almost like moving robotically. It was either sex or violence that they indulged in the most. Like it hypes them up, like put a battery in their backs. But as far as some of the older music, you had like Millie Jackson. Oh my goodness, and you had all these things, but it was done almost like with poetry. You know what I'm saying? It was done
Don't
with
talk
grace.
about Millie. She might be my cousin. I have family
I
from
love me
Thompson,
some
Georgia.
Millie
Oh
Jackson
yeah,
though.
don't dog her. In fact, we all need to sing the "Fuck You" symphony to Joe Biden and all these punk ass Democratic voting niggas out here. I mean, I really do mean fuck y'all if y'all vote for these people. I'm sorry. Let me mute myself.
I love you. But you are hey, our music was very dear and near to our hearts and our souls because it still kept the morality. It was the flirting, the chase of a heterosexual male and female relationship and family and sometimes the
I'll
drinking
drink to that.
and the violence that happened, when you talk about the dives and the juke joints, but it was always love that reigned supreme. They always wanted to unite, make love, and make more black babies. And it was all about dealing with the political overturns and or vibrations of what was going on. Strange fruits hanging from the tree. I mean, and you had F the police, NWA. Although they ushered in some of the gangster music, but they also had, like, you had Gorillas in the Mist. They were political also. So all the music was not just this death dealing.
Oh, I think you went to the Matrix. Then you went to the Matrix.
They on our
But
call.
but,
You were
but like,
talking about that
like
genocide.
point,
So you
good point I want to make. I want to follow up on when she talked about the music, like when she talked about Def NWA. Let's make it very clear. Make it very clear. Ice Cube, NWA, Ice Cube. That was called message music originally. It was called message music. This is what's going on in South Central LA. Like that era, I know people that aren't from here like to badger it and badger it. That was an era here. I was a child during that era. I remember waking up at 4 a.m. seeing a tank run through Miss Johnson's house across the street, waking up to flashbangs by the LAPD, coming at home playing with my friends, seeing my uncle's homeboy come back home with his eye busted wide open, and you knew William down the street. He just like going to school. He played the keyboard. He coming home with his eye busted and fucked up, and the media and everybody making it seem like, whoa, all of these evil black people are doing all these evil things, and nobody wanted to listen. So when they dropped "Fuck the Police," that was called message music. This is what's going on down here. And that was what got the news out to the world. And then when you get into when Ice Cube left NWA and you go to America's Most Wanted, again, that was called message music. The industry relabeled it gangster music. Go back to America's Most Wanted and go and listen to that song, Who's the Mac? Is it that brother in the big hat trying to get any bitch he can get with a good rap? Leaning to the side in the Lincoln. Is it the Mac? Is he the Mac, or is the Mac that person that's over here trying to play you, and the government? Is the Mac the person that's over here trying to take your money? It would make you really question society. You had to go back to to Death Certificate, Us. That whole Death Certificate album was a forensic analysis of Black America internally and externally. He talked about what was going on in the world around us, Black Korea. He talked about when he talked about the drug game in the first song, Summer Vacation. Yeah, he did glorify drugs in the first half of the song, and everybody else said, "Look at Ice Cube glorifying drugs." But what did he say in the second half of the song? He said, "Yeah, and look at the motherfucking years that I'm facing." He basically said, "Yeah, that drug game is gonna make your summer vacation a 20-year jail sentence." So a lot of times people didn't really look at the bigger message. When you look at the early days of that genre of music, they would talk about something, an issue, they would bring it, make light of it, and then at the end of the song, tell you going to jail. They would tell you don't be a crackhead. That shit is weird. That shit's whack.
Hey, brother
So that
Dewan,
was something
I got.
put out.
Oh,
That was something that when we put it out,
yes.
when we put it out, it had an original tone to it. When it got to that industry, when it got to Death Row, when it got to that third, I think it was a second, 100 Miles and Running. That's when a lot of that stuff started to change. When Jerry Heller got a touch of it, and then when it got to Death Row, that's when the studio gangsters started to come, and it started.
Isn't Heller Jewish?
Yes.
Okay. Look. Let me just give you my experience with Fuck the Police. There was a guy named Denmark Vesey West from Detroit, and I remember hanging out with undergraduates at Harvard College. This Fuck the Police came out when there were student rebellions at Howard and other places. This Fuck the Police, I'm just telling you, was the song of choice all over. I'm just saying, I'm not trying to make this white school that was a plantation that they killed Black Indians, all of that. But even in Harvard, Fuck the Police was the cut, even for the coons. And if you heard the extended one where they talk about the police molesting people and doing all this other kind of stuff, you know, the long play, not the short one. That was very real. It talked about police corruption and molesting people and selling drugs and killing people and demanding blowjobs and stuff from sisters. That cut, if you haven't heard the whole Fuck the Police and you're only obsessed on the 4-letter word fuck, you didn't hear what they were saying and why they would say it. I absolutely love that song. I do. I'm sorry. And I have policemen, and my father was a police chaplain when that song came out. I wouldn't play it around him, but I'd be thinking
My
it.
brother's a cop, and he plays that song.
And I'm just telling you, I remember being in my dad's police cruiser and the people turning "Fuck the Police" up so we could hear it. It was an expression of we're tired of this shit. It wasn't so much the F word. people who are not powerful, their language is powerful to make up for what, the E.F. Hutton thing is for rich, powerful, white oligarchs. He can whisper and get it. You and I can't go to school with working class and broke Negroes and whisper. You got to tell them, you better get the fuck off my foot. I mean, you're gonna go home with only half the head that you got now. I mean, yes, sir.
Real quick, I want to get to these two people. Finish your point. I want to get to these two comments. I want to get back.
No, I'm done, brother. In fact, I'll go off if I'm in the way because I just wanted to put my 2 pieces in.
No, don't leave, Dr. Short.
Oh my God!
I just want to get to these two commenters that was in here.
Okay, all right. The Wasi has spoken.
Yes.
Okay. The Wasi has spoken.
I definitely want to hear my man B Zilla got to say Cool Breeze was waiting, so I'm gonna get Cool Breeze first. But B Zilla, please stay around long enough. I invite you to the stage because I got to hear your opinion on this. But go ahead, Cool Breeze. You go first.
Hey, how's it going, family? Appreciate it, brother Dwan, sister Nikki, and Dr. Randy Shore always dropping that hot fire, and you know what I'm saying. So you guys gave pretty good examples of what's going on. To get to the topic, to the room, I think degenerate rap lyrics is way worse than what Kanye is doing. We always have um, positive rap artists in groups or whatnot. Especially during the early '80s and all that kind of stuff, where you had was it Diggable Planets, Arrested Development and stuff like that. So they were singing a lot of positive things and whatnot, more so conscious stuff. KRS-One, so we always have positive things. Rap artists out there, is just when a particular group of people they had start owning the record labels and they start pushing these degenerate artists. I'm not saying they're not talented or whatnot, but they would start, pushing these lyrics. That artists they were promoting that, and kind of push those artists that were pushing a positive message out to the community and stuff like that. Kind of out of the picture, you know what I mean? So we always have positive artists out there. It just wasn't promoted heavily as the ones that push out the negative. And I appreciate Dr. Randy Short putting that information. He dropped a lot of jewels. And also you, brother Dwan and Nikki. I appreciate you guys having me speak, and I yield the mic at that.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Thank you, Steve. Thank you. That's my good friend right there, Steve. He's good people.
Oh, that's what's up. They cool with you. They cool with me. Yeah, like he made a good point but we also got to remember something that happened at that time too. We always got to remember what happened. A lot of artists. He mentioned Arrested Development. You had KRS-One. You had X Clan. Those artists weren't resigned. Just watch any unsung of any artist of that era. What you see is around 92, 93, 94, when it was time for their next album to come out, either the record label was sold and the new record label didn't want them, or the A&R that pushed them got fired, and here comes some new white dude and didn't really push their new album. There was always something that disrupted the flow of the music. Because I remember when Arrested Development dropped. I remember in 94, when is Arrested Development coming out with a new album? 95. Damn, when is Digital Underground coming out with a new album? 96. And you just saw year by year by year, everyone that made good music that we really liked in the late 80s, early 90s, they just didn't have another album to come out. Or if it did come out, you didn't know about it until you watched that song. You'd be like, they dropped the album in 98? What? I didn't hear that. It was orchestrated. But Beatzilla, I gotta hear your opinion on what's going on, brother. In this. Go ahead, Beatzilla.
Yes, sir. Peace, Dwan B and Nikki the God. Well, man, hey, everybody in the room. Peace out to Dr. Short. It's funny for me and that you mentioned Arrested Development. some of the things that I could say about the music is that when there are movements, people go on alert. And one thing that you will learn especially around the music business, is that their agenda matters more than money. And so if they see that there is going to be movement coming from the black progressive group, and it's controlled by black money, then they're going in to sabotage it. And then what they'll do is they'll set their eyes on, say, independent black label that might be pushing out like Poor Righteous Teachers or something like that. They'll go acquire the label, give the label owners a lot of good money, then say, we're going to take your artists, and then the next go around you shelve them. So what they did with Arrested Development is they actually targeted their group for dismemberment. So what they did, they went around everybody else in the group. So Michelle and Deggiocello, Dion Ferris, Speech, and the like of them, to go give the hype woman. You remember the girl? Hey, we're playing Willow, whatever she was always allowed. They gave that woman $36,000 behind all the rest of the band members' back. That was all she wrote for Arrested Development. You caused a financial rift that never really existed, just to dismantle the movement of their group. So watching how like when you say like degenerate lyrics, trust me, if the industry did not, and of course we know that what I'm speaking of is not our people controlling it. When those people set forth an agenda, you'll see it. When it's the black agenda and black folks putting it out for themselves, and the power that be is against it, you'll never hear it. You'll never hear it. So just keep that in mind. You could have rappers getting laid down left and right behind their rap lyrics because they signing rappers that's still in the streets. Go ahead and throw a life insurance policy on them. Good. Kanye come out, say some unsavory things. Nobody's dying. But he's losing everything. See, it's never about the rapper. It's always about the agenda. Like we always say, follow the money. And this is a money game sometimes, but sometimes when you're dealing with the dominant society, always remember there's one thing more important than money, and that is their supremacy. Without supremacy, the money's worthless. So that's how I see it with the Kanye versus the degenerate rap lyrics. Degenerate rap lyrics are a tool of destruction by the power system that exists. Kanye West was trying to buck that exact same system. He did it very poorly and poorly worded it, and the rest is history. But let that be a lesson to who really runs the show. And let's just be clear, that's all white supremacy. We don't individualize those groups over here. So with that, I'll let my plane.
Real talk, B. That's why I want I'm glad you brought that information. I didn't know about that particular detail with Arrested Development. I just know that during that time, it was always over money. It would be something about money that would get these groups broken up. And usually, what they'll do is that's usually how they do it. One person gets the money, and they make sure that person that gets the money is the person that's least likely to do right by everyone else with that money. And you cause a natural rift. And you can say, hey, I didn't break them up. It was money. Look at these niggas. They don't look at that. They so money hungry. And then you get the black folks. Why black people always gotta break up over money? Why we just the worst? And then we get into all this bullshit ass infighting. Because if it wasn't for the money, no, money's about is a resource. And when you play a resource game with any animal, any human, anything, you give one the resources, and you give the resources to the one that you know is the least responsible with those resources. That's what's going to happen. Natural thing. People need money to live, you know. But yeah, so like we have to always know that when it came to our music did not die a natural death. It was this thing, this whole bullshit ass music that's here now. That was forced. Miriam, I see you got your hands back up.
Yes, thank you. Because I just wanted to touch on a few other things. Um, Stating back when I was speaking and we were talked about Millie Jackson and some of the others, and we got into um, NWA and some of the other lyrics and the message and the music, because that's what it was, message music. And like I said, it was some of the most moral and more political music there was. You have YZ thinking of a master plan or a master plan. You have Pistol Pete, I forget the group that made that, and then Big Mike.
Oh my
As
God.
I yes, Big Mike. As you look at this is how I go. As I'm looking in this world of mine, I'm looking at all these people, some who's doing good and those who doing evil. I mean, that CD was nice too. And you just have a lot of this, and the infiltration to me, like you said, came up about right when crack hit, right at the 80s. When Run DMC did Walk This Way, you got to remember Aerosmith on the back end did their record too. Dude Looks Like a Lady. Got it. Dude looks like a lady. Which was talking about ushering in you know what. So, and it also represented white boys truly infiltrated, because you had Third Base already and stuff too, came out too later. But that was the infiltration of Jew Boy coming in and messing with the masters and jacking the masters with his Lucifer worshiping ass. Excuse my French, because that's what he was. He an Aleister Crowley worshiper, and started putting all those death vibrations and manipulating the masters of the music. Like you said, it was a full infrastructure. We have to realize that we are under spiritual attack, financial attack, or economic attack. We've been at warfare with this beast. We are the sleeping gods and goddesses who forgot who we were, because we were lulled to sleep, because we been at war with this mug for centuries upon centuries. And so we are divinely great. They are wickedly great. We simply create by the grace of God. When we hear music, it's an inner thing. It moves through our spirit. It touches the soul. And through that comes so much love, healing, and harmony that we have the whole world swaying, because we are the divine children, and it was given to us like that. I'm not knocking no other culture, but no other culture put it down like a foundational Black American freedman, whatever you want to call yourself, an indigenous, ancient, true Black American. We are the only people who are not immigrants. We are the originators of this land. And some of our ancestors came from chattel slavery, but we always assisted here in America. And we are the moral post on the fingers of everyone's neck that make it go boom, boom. We are. Everything we create is often imitated and duplicated, but you can't mess with those who originated. So I will say that. And people have infiltrated, like he said, it was a hostile takeover. They've been infiltrating for the last 15 years strong, and they've been dumbing down music, taking the realization out of music, no real instruments. I'll tell you what, the boys from the South, Equimini, when they did Equimini, Goody Mob and them, oh my God.
Yeah.
When Goody Mob and them, that was one of the best. Equimini, and then you had Goody Mob's, three of their albums was banging too. And they spoke on consciousness. And then you had Dead Prez. See, that's my music when I grew up. That's that telling my age. But that's when, really banging consciousness was heavy and political. Like they had the one, The Animal.
Quick question.
Let
me ask you a quick question. When all that good music was coming out, did you or anyone you know, or have you ever heard anyone say, we don't want this conscious good music anymore? Have you ever heard that conversation?
You never heard that. It was bumping from the college dorms, on the grade school grounds, at functions, family reunions, all of the above, because any and everybody can groove to it. It felt good to the soul. It fed the soul. It talked to the political issues. It talked about love. Mind Sex by Dead Prez is one of the coldest ever dropped. You know what I'm saying? If you want to talk about romance and sex. all of that. You know what I'm saying? Because I need to be mentally stimulated. I know I'm beautiful. I know what I'm working for. This 100% heterosexual female here. But a guy who could touch my mind and then rock my soul, come on now. Let's get it. But yeah, you never said, we actually craved that music. We wanted that music. And we actually was protesting against the fact that they were dumbing our music down, and all the vulgarities that they were using, the filth that they were using. There's nothing wrong with profanity, because I could tell you about a number of songs with profanity that made its point, but it wasn't done vulgarly to where it's distasteful and that is demoralizing and disrespectful and not denigrating our women, and not denigrating and disrespecting our men and taking their manhood away. And women wasn't referred to as itches and cars and all of this, and you know, they dehumanized the music. They dehumanized it. And they pumped up the drugs, they pumped up the sex, because I tell you, I've never seen so much mumble mouth drugged out. They can't even really string together 3 sentences. And not to knock the music that's here, because some of it sounds good and some of them are skillful, but it's what they are allowed to put forth. Because like I said, white supremacy, this war is no joke.
It is what they allow. Okay,
Yeah.
I want to get to the next speaker.
Sure thing. I bow out.
All right, but you made a really good point right there. You really did. A few, man, not one good point. You made plenty of good points right there. Especially when it
Thank
comes
you,
down
Miriam.
to the music we had. We never said we don't want that good music no more. They just stopped giving it to
You're
us.
welcome. Thank you. Thank you all. This is a beautiful form and we need much more of it. Thank you.
Thank you, Miss Giselle.
Hey guys, and thank you for this space. I love when we start digging into this music culture, because I really believe that it should be a part of our reparations. It's been an intellectual contribution to the American history, the history of America, that is overlooked because we created almost every single genre that exists in this country. But what I came up to add to, and I appreciate you, Miriam, and Dr. I think it's Cubis. I'm sorry, I can't even say his name right. But
Coonbuster is his name, but
Kumbas, yeah, Dr. Kumbas. I appreciate you and Dwayne and everybody else in their contributions. I wanted to say, with this, they didn't expect hip hop to make it this far. Like what Biggie said, who's really not one of us. There's a lot of issues with him, but he was honest with that. They did not expect for hip hop to make it as far as it did. So now that we're on the brink of 50 years, the whole goal was to demonize it because they saw that it was still lucrative and one of the most powerfulest music genres across the world. So we got to, if in order for us to get at zero wealth, we got to remember their end goal is to make sure that all of our pockets are broken. So I get where people are coming at with Kanye West saying just watch and pick and choose your battles. I get that, because that money could go towards other things, but he wasn't really putting it there. Not from what I've seen anyway, but not looking at a man's pockets or anything. I just believe that now we're at a point where they've lowered the vibrations with hip hop. That now I work with a lot of just underground artists and stuff like that. And people are going underground, and we have some of the dopest artists that are out here. I think people like my homeboy from Baltimore, King Los. Me and this boy, we went to school together. We used to ride the bus. And his goal was just to get to 5 minutes rapping nonstop. And we would ride the bus from one end of the bus line to the next, sometimes all night. Just it's a Baltimore thing. And he would rap, and he put a lot of work into building his craft. Now he writes for a lot of artists, but he also got gypped by the same person that Dr. C. Buster was talking about. And we see the things that they do to our people in this industry. The artists who are conscious, they try to dismiss them or make them low vibrational, or have to make them oversaturate their music with sex so that it'll drown out the consciousness of it, like what they do with Kendrick Lamar music. But I think it's us, like a lot of the demand underground that's coming up. I think it's forcing them to, like, they know that this top is about to burst, and they're not going to get away with the low vibrational music anymore. That's why they let a couple things. They've been knocking us off of this for a while, even down to R&B, which really ticks me off. Because like you have people who like Jasmine Sullivan could kill a song, right? Her and a couple other people, Jennifer Hudson and people like that. But they put the it's a white chick, Yeba. They put her on tracks with artists who literally took the sound of James Brown and she's calling it her own. So this is just, they know they have to take this music because this is going to now lace the pockets of the other people. And they're trying to like reverse everything. They this change. I know somebody said it earlier, and I don't want to lose my train of thought, but somebody said it earlier. When did this transition happen? In that 90s park when we were point when era when we were getting out of the the drug epidemic and all of that stuff that was happening, mass incarceration, along with the drugs being inflicted on our youth. One thing that they were feeding our kids was kids bop. So they heard the sounds of white voices singing black music. So then when they got older, our kids became attracted to this non-vibrational music. So they lowered their vibrations when they were younger. And then when they got older, it was easy for them to transition into this low vibrational hip hop. And now when they hear something even more powerful, it's like a shock to them. So I think it's with, as long as we keep the heat on them and the demand out there, they're gonna have to let us loose, or the underground is just gonna take over. Thank goodness for streaming sites. But that's just all I wanted to add to the conversation.
I'm so glad you brought up Kids Bop because I forgot
Yeah,
about that bullshit ass era. You're right. You got the babies at a very young age playing that ba 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 ba, that bullshit,
yeah,
and it got their minds ready. So like when they do hear music that's as rich as Michael Jackson's, it basically it sends shockwaves through their soul because they're not ready for that. That ground hasn't been saturated enough to really digest. Uh, they if they can't digest Michael Jackson, they really couldn't digest Earth and Fire and get back in
right.
that. I mean, they
Not to
really
mention,
wonder jazz. That's why I say it's so important. We as a people, remember, babies hear you hear start listening when they're in the womb. Even if you ain't into jazz, you got a newborn, man. You better play some Coltrane while that. Don't play no little lullaby music. You better play some Coltrane. You better play some Birth of the Cool, Miles Davis. You better play some Herbie Hancock and some George Duke. And you better play that some Count Basie because that jazz is what opens your mind up. It expands your palate. And then when you come back to R&B and everything else, you even have a more refined. R&B's always been my favorite. But when you get really get into jazz and orchestration, now when you come back to R&B, you can appreciate Paul Reiser's arrangements. You can appreciate Tom's horn arrangements. You can appreciate the richness that's within R&B. And that sound and that feels really soothing. It really does heal you. Music is healing, is healing, is healing, it is healing. It's not something you just listen to. It's something that you play and you allow yourself to go into the flow of the music and the rhythm of the sound. That's what music is about, and that's something that they intentionally took. Davey, I'm gonna get to you in 1 second, but I gotta bring this one point. Gotta bring this point. Too Short talked about this in a Vibe magazine article in like 96, 97. No, he talked about it in like 2000, but he was talking about what happened in the mid 90s. And if you go back to the early Too Short, yeah, he would have a song that's talking about bitch and all that stuff, but then he will follow it up with the ghetto. He'll follow it up with songs talking about stacking your money and creating business. That late 80s, that 80s Too Short, he talked a lot about business in his music. He don't get enough credit for talking about business and not selling drugs either. Just talking about whenever you get your money, finding ways to double it and stack it up. But what happened in the mid-90s? They told Too Short, he said the record label started saying, like, okay, on this album, you can say bitch as much as you want, you can say fuck, you can cuss, use every cuss word you want. Fine. We'll put it out. And he said he was even surprised, like, and Too Short love a good cussing. He was like, I love cussing, but usually I want some consciousness too in my music. But the label was like, we'll let you put the conscious song on the next album. Your next album is going to be conscious. But on this album, just say anything you want to say. It's like you under contract, and for those of you who understand music contracts, if you don't say what the label tells you to say, guess what's going to happen? You're going to get shelved. What happens if you get shelved? You have a 5-album deal, and you're on album number 2. So if they don't put out album number 2, you're under contract with this company the rest of your life. You can't, or the rest of your music life. You can't get out of that. You have to get these 5 albums if you're going to get out of this contract. And you're on album number 3 or number 2. Because usually what they do is when they sign you, they let your first album go however you want. Do your first album however you want, so you don't feel nothing suspicious. But on that second album, they're gonna tell you what the fuck to do. And they did that to him. And then they made the final call, and they were the ones that released that degenerate music. And what you find is during the mid-90s, those artists that didn't capitulate, the ones that didn't comply, they were shelved. They recorded beautifully recorded music telling you everything you need to know to live a good life. But that album was never released. We're not living in a time with the internet where you just put something out. Back then, your music had to be imprinted either on a CD or on a tape, or before that, a vinyl. And you didn't have the money to get to the printing presses and to sell it yourself. You didn't have the connections to the record stores to get it shelved yourself, put it on shelves yourself. You had to go to a label for all of that. So if your label didn't put you out, this nigga's under contract right now that ain't released an album since '91. So that's the environment that we're dealing with. We must always understand the music environment that we're dealing with. Davey, you're next.
Hello, greetings, man. Dwan B, Nikki, Miss Giselle, Dr. Short, B Zilla. I just want y'all to know it's a pleasure to share the stage with y'all, especially on like a different aspect of the topic of Kanye West than others have been talking about. Let me cut down this baby Einstein. I'm sorry, but so I had this thinking that what if people utilizing rap lyrics for RICO cases was like a precursor to a anti-Black American crime bill. You get what I'm saying? In the essence of let's say some of our population, like I was looking at different stats about reparations pollings and everything like that, and it was stating that 25% of Black Americans are against reparations. You get what I'm saying? So that kind of threw me off. You get what I'm saying? So are they Black Americans or are they immigrants? So the data only had it. So seeing that delineation, it wasn't portions of these polls that they actually even do for us. It was just stating quote unquote African Americans or Black Americans.
I'm sure 90% or 25%.
Right. Yeah. So I was sitting there thinking like, damn. So it's already obvious that Black people can be against Black people. We already know all skin folk ain't kinfolk. We already know that just being a Black politician ain't motherfucking good enough. You get what I'm saying? So from there, I was like, damn, bro, some of these type of bills and policies could disproportionately affect us, but it should more disproportionately affect those of us who are not on code for being better, as in Black empowerment movement. It sounds real crazy, but it's already with the emphasis that everybody ain't gonna make it. So I thank y'all for that. And the last thing that I was gonna say, I feel like the worst thing that Kanye said that has him in this position, it wasn't even calling out Jewish people. It was that he said the term Zionist. All right, I haven't heard too many people say about that, but seeing that he said the term Zionist, it then gives the Jewish blanket of that religious cover to cause it to be hateful because it's anti-Semitic, because he mentions Zionists in reference to them. And I feel like that's something that comes important when it comes to what we need to have when it comes to a crime bill, because the COVID-19 Asian hate bill, it really has that guise of COVID-19 over it, just how the Jewish reparations has that guise of religion over it. Native Americans have their own different various guises. We should also be thinking about that. Like, definitely. I really appreciate the time, y'all.
Brother Dwan, can I mention something?
Go ahead, Dr. Short, then I'll get you, Zilla, but go ahead, Dr. Short.
Okay, I'm going to go very quickly and say that the Jewish community does not like Donald Trump. The Jewish community, organized Jewry, does not like Donald Trump and does not want Donald Trump back in the White House. A lot of the people that you see being attacked that are friends to Donald Trump, if you look at who are the people, the leadership and the FBI and the Justice Department, these people, with all due respect, my friends, are Jews who are waging war against Donald Trump. They don't like him. There are white people around Trump that hate Jews, that really do. I'm not saying Trump hates Jews, but there's some people who really don't like Jews, who are these. Some of these people are. You've got some people who genuinely don't like Jews. So attacking Kanye is a way to get back at the white nationalist, who they feel is using Kanye as what they call a Shabbos goy. And I'm just saying, okay, Shabbos goy. And but a reverse Shabbos goy. A Shabbos goy for white nationalists are blacks who are the foot soldiers of Jews. Jews are seeing Kanye in the reverse as a reverse Shabbos goy, where he's with white nationalists that don't like Jewish people. There is a hatred of Jews for whatever, a variety of reasons, good, bad, and imaginary. And Kanye appears to be an easy target. It's the same way that Ronald Reagan went and laid the wreath in a graveyard full of SS soldiers who killed Jews. And yet when Jesse Jackson said, "Hide me, town," just one comment, and they're ready to destroy him. Jewish people need to flex, so they're flexing on black people to try to scare white people. What you need to understand is it's not completely working, because their big fear is that black folks get with white nationalists. Is there an example of another black person or black persons that have flirted with the white right wing that have made Jews come down on them? Yes. My friend, Reverend Pinckney of Benton Harbor, Michigan. Or my other friend, Cynthia McKinney. Or my friend, I'm doing a show with later today, Dr. Barrett. People who get too close to either Palestinian nationalism, where he said the term Zionist, or white nationalism, which is inherently anti-Jewish. So they feel they can't go after them. If you notice, they don't go after white supremacists. It's kind of weird. You'll even have people that are Jewish in white supremacist organizations, but they're hypersensitive to black people. What people need to understand is that black people are the moral barometer of the nation. If black folks start hating something, everybody else is going to line up behind us the same way they do in terms of music, culture, and styles.
That's real talk. They always line up behind us, man. I appreciate that, Dr. Short. I don't know if you into the Matrix or not, but
no, I'm not in the Matrix. I'm not a ball hog. I'm not a boomer either. So when I'm done, I shut the fuck up so someone else can speak. Yeah, so for all of you millennials and Zs, I'm an X, not a boomer. So when I'm done, I shut up. I don't think, oh, I'm old. Sit down, shut up, let me keep talking, fall asleep. I don't do that.
Got you. B-Zilla, it's on you, then we're going to get to D.
Yes, indeed. And I just kind of piggyback on what Dr. Short just mentioned, as well as what you had mentioned earlier. One of the reasons why they went to do the digital sound is taking live taking live music out, and that element of live music out. Funny that we're having this conversation right now, because I literally had to do some music yesterday. Did a little easy DJing gig for a little event yesterday, and one of the pieces that I was playing was a live concert from Frankie Beverly and Maze. This is like I guess around 2004-ish. And something that he mentioned being one of the last R&B bands still gigging. And this is at that early stage. So they were really trying to phase out live music. One of the reasons being is live music is definitely a healing agent. But to fast forward to 2022 and where we are now with looking at all of the drill garbage and the raunchy garbage that we see and being pushed, we still have a love for the live music. Even more so, though, what we're seeing right now is even without the music, us just coming together is still holding the same properties of what that music was doing and what they were hearing. So just I guess coming back to get basically for all intents and purposes, not to sound too churchy or nothing, but coming together on one accord on some realness as like some real love and family relationship type level. We are literally watching the same healing properties as we have always demonstrated in our music. So to end, I'll wrap it up by saying we are legitimately the healers, not just even the musicians, but all of us in general, everybody in this room right there. Man, with that, I'll land my plane.
That's real talk, B-Zilla. Like always, man, the music really is healing. Like I say, the strings are the emotion. The live instruments represent the four elements that make up life. You have your air, that's your singing, you got your fire, those are your horns. You got you got you got the wind and also the air, that's the strings, that's the emotion. You got the earth, that's the drums. You dig what I'm saying? Like all of it represents life, and life has a breath to it. That's why quantizing music is so dangerous, because nothing is always on beat, perfect every time. There are, even when the tempo's at 79 BPM, sometimes within that song there's gonna be a little bit of shakiness and a little bit of wavering within the beat. Just like life, you can have the perfect day, but within the perfect day you're gonna trip over a curb, but something gonna happen. That's how life works, and that's how music's supposed to be. When you put it all in a computer and quantize it, you take all of the life element out of it. D Jackson.
No. Peace, peace, peace. What up, Dwan? Peace, Nikki, Dr. Short. Shout out to Craig Fax, Dwan. Real quick, man. I'm gonna try to be fast, man. I'm from Chicago, man. I'm an MC. I've been MCing for a while. Once upon a time, I had a nice little buzz here in the underground conscious community, and I was quote unquote that next dude up. Just to touch back on what you were saying like a few minutes ago, I had some situations with some major labels and everything, and the one thing that they will never compromise on is creative control. So and then later on in life, mid-30s, there was a record label that's known for pushing conscious artists. So after like they're done with their major stay, I'm not gonna say the name of the label, but they're known for like pushing conscious artists. So I had a situation with them. They would not give up creative control. So there's another thing in contracts too that's called final cut too, which means that you presented to them like, yo, I'll make 30 songs and you pick your favorite 10. They still wouldn't do that. So you right on the spot, man, when you say like the whole Too Short story and things like that. And I don't know if you're familiar with the that letter that Crazy Bone read too.
Yes,
how
sir.
they presented to them too. So man, you hit it right on the head with that, bro.
I appreciate that, man. Yeah, I'm glad you brought in with what your story. See, like for people listening on YouTube later on and listening out there, we're not just making this stuff up. Whenever they talk about our music, they make it seem as if black people are just these dumb degenerates that put out all of this distasteful music, and we're just this idiot consumer base that thirsts for the most degenerate style of music, and we're all just stupid. And you know, all the record label doing is they're just giving you what you want. The record label, they're just putting out what the artist puts. It's like society and black folks tend to just give the labels and the radio stations and the CD distributors and streaming platforms, they're just these innocent beings allowing these dumb niggas to create stupid music and these dumb nigga consumers. No, that's not a natural thing. You don't go from the OJs singing about family reunion to Ice Cube talking about, you know, putting the family, his wife is his manager, to what we see right now. That's not a natural thing. If you just go to any record label that black people own and they weren't involved, just listen to the music. We're going to talk about, it's going to be a lot of music about fucking, a lot of music about sex, a lot of music about cheating, a lot of music about getting your heart broke. It's gonna be a lot of music about coming together. That's what we talked about. Cheating, getting your heart broke, falling in love, smashing as many chicks as you can get, chicks wanting to get dickmatized. That's all the music was about. It wasn't about this. It became about this when they got involved. Go ahead, Dr. Short. I thought you up there. Miriam, you have your hand up.
All right, yes, my goodness, this room is really on fire tonight. We are all cooking, and this is just a wonderful medley stew of us. To touch upon a couple of things that were said, as you were saying, when you get back into the jazz, because jazz musicians truly was tied into the womb of the universe. All the B's, the bops, the lows, the highs, the pitch, and that little tremble, we later know as tremble when they start doing the woofers and things of that nature, to not disrupt the music, but to enhance it, so to speak. But if you ever hear live music, a live concert, it's nothing like it. It's moving, especially if you're doing some deep breathing with it and just let it take you. That's what they call Holy Ghost, because music truly does touch the soul, and you do begin to sway, and you do begin to move with it. And just a note, we have a listener with this little um they're Japan, they're all Japan, their whole page, their whole everything. And I always call them out whenever I see them in one of our rooms, because why are you here for? They never speak or anything. They sit in and listen for a great deal. So they let me know you're gathering intel. But for what I would want to know, is it a Japanese think tank or what? Because they've been into a lot of our forums, not to change the subject, but I think it's important to call these type of listeners, these type of people out. It's an Oshagati or Shantaki. You can't even pronounce the name. And it's a piece of cake, a cupcake, or whatever it is. But the whole profile is in Japanese. So I'm just calling that out. But to touch back into what we were saying about the message in the music, um, you had um, those are the poor righteous teachers. You had YZ. You had poor righteous teachers. I mean, dead prayers. You had so many underground, and it's a one brother called Rhino too. He's so smooth. He's an underground rapper, but some of his music is out, and it's conscious. It's very conscious, and it's banging on top of that. And when they started to also manipulate the music and integrate into the culture to dumb it down, not only with all that kids bop pop crap, because they actually, and they run with this in China, that bop crap, that lollipop music they used to call it, I think, kids pop. And remember, that's how Britney Spears ushered in on that wave and all that, and all those other people. And then we had, of course, the clones the Backstreet Boys and the other group, I forget their name too. You had them where Justin Timberlake and all of them come out of. You're nobody unless you're emulating and imitating soul, the R&B. And like you said, Bruno Mars and his group, they emulating a lot of the R&B, the 80s and the 70s R&B and stuff like that. And that's why he's doing so well. And you have Eminem,
Ooh,
like his
they
whole
take our sound. That's the whole thing, is to take our stilo and take our thing. I'm not gonna be on here much longer, so could you just go ahead and wrap it up, and then we're gonna get to one. I'm gonna say a few more things.
Sure, I'll wrap it up on this. Dr. Frances Cress Welsing said it best. She said that they were going to start imitating our music and our sound. She said that. She said they're going to start emulating it. She said they're going to start learning secondhand and becoming activated secondhand on rhythm. She said they'll always be offbeat. They just can't get it right. But she warned that this was coming. And in closing, I'll say this: Eminem whole style, the one who they think is one of the greatest they ever do it, who he stole half of his style from oh gosh, what is his name? Um Rakim. And but he said he learned how to construct sentences and things of that nature from Rakim. But he stole his whole styles. Is the one that represented in Nine Miles. He the one that got murdered. He actually stole dude whole style. Anybody from Detroit can tell you that followed that they can tell you. And then I'll just land my plane there. I had something else, but it escapes me now. But I'll land my plane there. Thank you.
All right, thank you, thank you, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's we as a people, we got to know that we are the culture of the world. It's not just hip hop; it's every form of music that comes along with it. And no, I have my own reasons and theories as to why we haven't evolved too much past rap. I'm gonna put that off for a whole nother Twitter space, because I'm definitely gonna want y'all to talk about that. I can go like another 3 hours on that, and I ain't trying to have one of those all night rooms. But one thing I will say when it comes to that is, when we stop learning music and the music went electronic, that that limited innovation to the next machine that was coming out, the next sound, the next sound pack, the next thing that had to be given to us. When we played natural instruments, we bend those instruments to the sound that we wanted. Back in the days before, during Jim Crow, when we taught ourselves, you know, we weren't just sharecroppers. We were also the same people who picked the cotton. Were also electrical engineers and did stuff like that. Bo Diddley created his own guitar. That whole Bo Diddley backbeat, don't. He not only created that backbeat that still is supporting music today. The song 777 by Bruno Mars was the Bo Diddley backbeat, still alive 70 years after he created it, and he created it on a guitar that he created in his own backyard. The electronics and all. We used to create our instruments. We invented the drum set. The drum set did not exist before Black America. And those of you who followed me for a long time, you know that. But a lot of people don't know that. People take the drum set for granted, when the drum set is the nucleus for all of the music. All music is built around the drums. The drums is what tightens the music up. Everything else that happens around the music comes off the drums. And with the drum set, that was an innovation that we invented, that we created, that changed the sound of music forever. And when you're dealing with natural instruments, the bass guitar, the horns, the trumpet had always been around, but it was Louis Armstrong that made the trumpet the end thing instrument. They used to play the cornet before that. The trumpet was just a little side instrument. The cornet was the main instrument. Louis Armstrong turned the trumpet into the primary horn that people listen to the most. Miles Davis, when you're talking about that Dizzy Gillespie, it was us that put that signature on it, that made that the instrument. We're the ones who, although we did not invent the bass, we created how the bass is played. Once Larry Graham came, the bass was never played the same again. Once Bootsy Collins came, the bass was never played the same again. We've always been the standard bearer when it comes to music. And if you look back historically, our music evolves like black music when we left alone, 5 years, 10 years max. But you got about 5 years. Because in year number 6, somebody new is coming with a whole new sound that's gonna change the world. We did it when swing had a cool little run. All right, now get out of the way. Bebop is here on one side. And then for people who like blues, you got the Delta blues had its sound, its time, and then the Memphis blues took over, and then Chicago blues took over, then the Kansas City blues took over. All distinctly different sounds, but all was under these different genres, formats. And then the same thing, then you get to the 50s, you get to rock and roll, and then you get to the later the 50s, you get into doo-wop. That's taking over. And then you get to the 60s, you got the Motown sound. And then by the late 60s, you got heavy metal coming up on one end that we created. You got funk coming up on the other end. We were always changing the sound because we had the first touch with the instruments. We were involved with the land. We taught our own children, and our children have multiple skills outside of what this bullshit they teach in school today. That's something that we can get back to, but we got to get back to adopting live instruments, and we're for the most part doing it. And I gotta send a special shout out to Dallas in particular with what they've done. Philadelphia, the way Philadelphia preserved the soul sound through neo soul of the late '90s. You got Dallas giving us people like Roy Hargrove and giving Erica Badu and RC and the Grits, and Houston giving us Robert Glasper, and most of all, LA. LA's been holding it down with Kamasi Washington, Terrence Martin. They've been bringing jazz back to the forefront. And so different parts of the country been keeping the live music alive. It's just I'm ready to see the rest of the country. I got to see Atlanta catch up. I've heard a few live bands from Atlanta, but Atlanta, y'all still, come on, man. Atlanta, we need y'all. We black. We need y'all to get back to our instruments, man. Fuck all this plastic shit. You know what I mean? We need Atlanta back online. We need Memphis back online. Memphis, man, Memphis, y'all gave us so much musically. Where y'all musicians at, Memphis? Who's the next dope bass player out of Memphis? Drummer, guitarist. We need Memphis. You know what I mean? If it's where black people live, we need y'all to get back into this, because that's how we're gonna get more of it. We gotta get, not only do we have to replace these bullshit ass lyrics, we gotta replace these bullshit ass sounds. I'm gonna take this last. I see I got one person I'm gonna request it. I'm gonna get out of here pretty soon, but I see I got a request. I'm gonna take this one, then I'm gonna get up on out of here. And B Zilla, if you got something to say, get ready. I want you to say that next. Nikki, what's up, Hood News down there? Major, Michael Wharton, T Dynamite. What's up, y'all? The other Nikki down there.
Just saying, can you hear me?
Go ahead, B Zilla.
Oh yeah, I just wanted to say real quick. Live music, man, is where it's at. For me, I started playing drums at 3, and it really it opened up the creativity, I guess, for myself. So just being able to explore music with different musicians, and then being able to even inspire musicians. So like, I don't know how many people follow my YouTube channel, but I threw up some videos from a jam that we had recently, and there's a lot of young musicians that are coming up. So and some straight ahead jazz musicians as well. So I'm really inspired by seeing, the music is not, of course, the musicianship is not on the level to where it once was, but I'm really impressed at seeing some of these youngsters that's kind of they're coming on some new wave jazz type stuff, man. And so there's a lot of new musicians coming out. Just keep your ears and eyes open for these youngsters, y'all, because there's some bad kids coming out, man. So yeah, just to let you know, we ain't done, man. So with that, y'all have a blessed one. Peace.
Thank you for that. Thank you for that, because, like I said, I'm always down. I talk about the old stuff, but I'm always down for what's new. And that's why I like my man out here in LA, J Mo, Jairus Mosey, he holding it down the live instrument side. You got Corey Henry, he out of New York, you know. You got this band out of New York called Freelance. I like them. They're out. We're out there. You know what I mean? People are out there and they're doing music and they're doing music the right way. I don't act like this not out there. But all I'm trying to say is this: we need a lot more because this is going to take more than 4 or 5 bands in a few different cities. You know what I mean? It's going to take a whole movement to really push this thing through. You know what I mean? Nobody wanted to hear what Ohio had to say, but Ohio had so much goddamn funk coming out of Cincinnati and Dayton, you couldn't deny it. Once Bootsy Collins got through, everybody was like, the music's in Detroit, the music's in Chicago, the music's in LA, it's in New York. When Bootsy Collins got through, and after Bootsy got through, Ohio gave us a sound that we should gonna love the rest of eternity. But that happened because it was so many waiting in the wings. The Ohio players were a jazz band at the time. But when that funk came and Bootsy pushed it through, the Ohio players pushed through, and then now you got Slave, Lakeside, and OJ's. Man, come on. But that's not gonna happen until we get our kids back in the music. Go ahead, Dr. Short.
Oh, I agree. A lot of things that have happened, they took the trades out of the school. They've taken humanity out of the school. They've taken the arts out of the school. We need to add things back. Instead of buying people so many digital things, we need to buy people a horn or some congas or something. We need to learn how to make natural sounds. I think synthesizers have their place, but nothing can compete with something that you make yourself. And it's a sad day, and that's one beef I have with Kanye is auto-tune. You should be able to sing on key. That was something to be expected coming from the church. People just call your ass out the blue. Sing a song, and it better be good, too. I mean, even if you sat there for 4 hours and been smelling funky bodies, people want you to be able to sing on key, and it better relate to the people in the audience. We need to have places where we share music and art with each other and have places that we collect. This is one of the things that gentrification, genocide has done, is even destroyed places where we could gather and vibrate together, generate sounds. You follow what I'm saying? You know, I was thinking about the song. I was talking to Sugar T. I think you know her. She's a friend of mine up in Oakland, one of the mothers of West Coast rap and hip hop. And I just had to, I don't know, the thing about music, it's very important that, when I was in the hospital room, this year, the thing that helped me just be cool the whole way was music. It was, a whole bunch of the clown ass Claire Ward, the Ward singers and all the crazy behavior and the wigs and the singing and all that helped. In fact, it kept the evil people out my room. And I was in the hospital where they killed Dick Gregory. So, I had my gospel music and kept all the evil people's asses away. Music protects us. Music can help you, I was at a person's funeral. One of my colleagues said, just to try to comfort people losing their grandmother, I just sang a few bars of a song we all sing down south, and you would believe it went from people being sad, Dwan, because this lady's 92 years old. Everybody's crying over grandma, one who loved everybody, cooked for everybody, held everybody, took care of everybody, loved everybody when nobody, loved anyone. And when she's gone, there's no amount of words that you can say to people that are, giving someone back to the Creator. And man, I just sang for about a minute and a half. The place almost went nuts. And it's because that's one of the things that people fear about us. They want to kill the music. My music uncle, George McGregor, perhaps the undersung, the most prolific percussionist in modern recorded music, told me that they were killing all the people that could make the sounds and frequencies to get people to love and stand up. And we need to understand that this is a very real thing. And even the scriptures say, make a joyful noise unto the Lord. You're supposed to be making sounds.
I meet all these people now, they can't sing, they can't dance, and they're like what white folks used to be. We used to make fun of in the 70s. No matter what, nobody could outdo the Jacksons or the OJs or the Dramatics or the Manhattans. You had so many black groups of whatever kind, or your singer-songwriters, Stevie
Hey, I
Wonder,
can't hear Dr.
Roberta.
Short. My shit went out. Is Dr. Short speaking? Hit the thumbs up or something if y'all can hear Dr. Short. I can't hear shit.
Can you hear me, Dwan?
I hear you, Nikki.
Okay, so when the last time this happened to me, I turned my Wi-Fi off, and that helped. Also, if you want to do a mute all, like mute everybody on stage and then unmute everybody, that's the only two things that have ever worked for me, other than dropping down and closing the space.
All right, did that work?
Dr. Short, can you say something to see if he can hear you?
Yeah, I'm right here. I hope you are hearing me. I hope I'm making sense.
Can you hear him, Dewan? Okay, Dewan can't hear you, so
Hello?
we were gonna. Yeah, Dewan. Yeah, I think something's wrong where you can't hear him, but we were gonna end the space soon anyway, right?
Yeah,
So
we're
if
going to end
you
pretty
want,
soon
we want to
anyway.
let him. Yeah, we can let him finish up and then start to close it out
All right,
if
yeah,
that
go
will
ahead.
help.
Go ahead and finish. When he's done
Go ahead,
talking,
Dr. Short.
and when he's done talking, Nikki, you jump in because
Yeah,
I can hear you.
Okay, understood.
it's real simple. We necessarily, one thing that will really help us, no matter where you are, what you do, is that people need to make sounds, sounds of love, peace, however you do it, and it can ultimately change it. This is what our ancestors learned to do, to vibrate. You're talking about people from 500 Aboriginal nations and 1,200 tribes and linguistic groups from Africa, as well as people from Europe, were able to vibe together and create the most potent cultural, uh, potent cultural weapon in the last 1,000 years. And we need to find our souls, ourselves, and be real. And that is what we've learned to do. We need to learn to regain our authenticity and creativity and spirit. And I can just tell you, just from that funeral, being able to communicate in music or song with a room full of Black folks, people went from being sad about a death to remembering the good times. This is why they want to destroy the music. They want us depressed. These people are almost like alien demon spirits that want to kill what is special, what is godlike, what is divine inside of us. And we have to resist that by making music, by appreciating that's beautiful in each other, singing about love. In fact, even singing about the coarser parts of it. It's all involved. Come on, let's be honest. You don't stick your thing in somebody with saran wrap on. So a lot of things are moist, juicy, and sticky, but that's just how it is. But most importantly, vibrate love, vibrate understanding, vibrate peace. Don't let anyone take your soul from you. Like it says, what does it profit a people to gain the world or white acceptance, to be assimilated and lose our soul? Don't lose your soul. Don't lose our music. Don't give up. Okay, Dr. Randy Short, and definitely, I want y'all to help me go out and see Dwan. I want to go out to Cali twice. I think Sister Nikki posted that up there. They're messing with my GoFundMe, but
Yeah, I posted a GoFundMe up that you gave me the link to, and the link did not work.
isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
And that's the one that they sent over. How does it not work? So they can cash app me because I want to see Dwan. We want to do this in person. I want us to say one thing and I'll stop. I had a brother who's one of the leaders of the Black community in Britain who wanted me to say thank you to Dwan and to all of you that Black American music helped the people in Britain make it. There's a guy by the name of Jimmy James
Jimmy
who
James.
came from Britain to America to take Black music back because they were having a hard time dealing with white British people. So what we generate heals and makes people. And by the way, Cash App, Dr. DrRandyShort, Dr. Randy Short. We
Yes,
need to
Dr.
have
Randy
more of
Short
these.
Cash App is in the I'm just
Yes.
cutting you off. I
No,
apologize.
that's okay. No, but I just want to be with Dewan. We need to do this in person so we don't have to listen to this bullshit traffic. Okay. That's
Yeah,
the music
Dewan,
we
he's just
don't
saying
like.
to you that, we got to, everybody, y'all got to hook up in person, because you see this, how this, these spaces work. They're always messing up. So yeah, that's what he's saying. He got to hook up with you in person.
Right. I'm
I'm sorry
landing
you
my
can't hear each
plane.
other.
Oh, okay. I don't hear any. I hear you. I don't hear him at all. But yeah, thank you, Dr. Short. Um, but yeah, like I just want to close this out because what's up, Sonny? I want to close. I will keep it going a little longer, but I can't hear shit, and I'm barely hear Nikki. But I want to close it out basically just by saying, look, we got to focus on get on what's real. If Kanye West offended you and he hurt your feelings, I don't give a fuck. No one gives a fuck. Feelings could be hurt 1 minute and the next minute you in ecstasy. That don't matter. If Kanye, he's a coon, hell yeah, he a coon. All that stuff is true. But when you see all these people coming across and they talking about you can't bank, and you got these white folks walking around with their mullets saying whatever the hell they want to say about black people and everybody else, and they get to still bank with Chase Bank, and they still get to get their shit distributed, and these motherfuckers shut down a school for kids. What them damn kids got to do with Kanye West saying what his opinion?
Absolutely. And they
When you
got
see
dope
that,
money in
man,
the bank,
we got to just
blood money
rethink
in the
things.
banks, and they're worried about Kanye.
Sometimes you can
Damn.
set certain things to the side to not pile on what they do. You know what I mean? Everybody's feelings valid. Whatever your opinion is on Kanye West, fine. I ain't gonna argue nobody's opinions on him. I ain't gonna argue against nobody's perspective on him. All I'm saying is we got somebody who lyrically ain't really done nothing to harm nobody. You know what I mean? He's a cornball, but at the same time, you got rappers who had nothing but music talking about degeneracy, debauchery, drugs, all kind of bullshit, and they're taking the moral high road and saying cancel Kanye West. When y'all put degenerate behavior behind a smooth beat, because let's be clear when it comes to music, for all the rappers out there, it ain't you that attracts people to your music. It's the beat. Without the beat, you just another nigga talking. Without the beat, you just a low-level ass poet. It's the beat that makes it the music. And it's a beat that attracts. It's the music that attracts the listeners to whatever it is you got to say. That's why most of the time people don't want to hear a damn thing y'all got to say when there ain't a beat attached to it because you're not that interesting. When it come down to it, if you're going to put a beat to your lyrics, be responsible with what you're saying because the shit that you say within that beat, because it's the music that puts it right to people's subconscious. People can discriminate what they hear without a beat behind it. But when you put music to a message, that then makes the message bypass your frontal cortex and your ability to reason, and it goes directly into that subconscious, which is 90% of your brain activity. Remember that. Two things you gotta always remember. Words are only 8% of all communication, and the only conscious brain activity is 10% max. That's even debatable. Some people say 5 is conscious activity. The rest of it's subconscious. The rest of communication, 8% is verbal. The other 92%, body language, tone of voice, and nonverbal communication. So when you put a beat to your lyrics, you got a powerful army going along with whatever you're saying. That means far more than whatever coon speech Kanye drops. If Kanye want to lose all of his money because he said what he had to say, that's his money. It ain't yours. If he want to lose it, that's fine. He wasn't doing shit for black people with it anyway. You know what I mean? But if this is what he feels he got to do to voice whatever he got to voice, and you got all these white folks and all these non-black people piling on this man and taking away his ability to live a life and he didn't break a law, that's where the line got to be drawn. Homie didn't break no laws, because you do it to Kanye for what he's saying right now. What if PayPal? I use PayPal when y'all buy my t-shirts on my website. What if they call this podcast hate speech and fine me $2,500? Because we talking about what is hate speech. PayPal put it back in their thing that they can fine you $2,500 for speaking hate speech. And we all know as black people, if you on Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram, hate speech is whatever these white folks say it is today. 5 minutes later, it'll be something else. That's what you're creating an environment for when you sit idly by and allow them to do these things where somebody didn't break a law to where they're getting economically strangled based off an opinion. I don't have to agree with you, but just because I don't agree with you don't mean you should be economically strangled because you said something that I don't like. That's some hoe ass shit. So don't be a hoe ass nigga following along with this hoe ass plot. Be okay. We should all be mature enough to disagree with somebody, not like what they have to say, and still be okay with them living their life and doing what they do. We got to be mature than that, black folks. And that's all I want to say. Follow my YouTube channel. I wish I could talk to y'all more. I wish I could hear what y'all saying, but I can't hear shit. So since I can't hear y'all, we about to end this space. Follow me on YouTube at DwannB. Thank you, Nikki. Got anything you want to say?
I just wanted to say that thank you for this amazing space. I did ask Dr. Short, I think it was yesterday, if he would do a space on this. So I would love to see the two of you do like a part two. This should probably be a series because this isn't going to end tomorrow. So I would like to see this covered even more, if you don't mind.
I don't mind at all. We'll definitely do it again, and I want to get more people in here. You know, I want to get next time. Want to get Sunny to speak, and I see Najee requested, but I can't hear none of y'all. I can only hear Nikki. So yeah, we're gonna end this space, but we're gonna do another one real soon. And shout out to everybody, and thank you again, Nikki.
Y'all have a good night.
Y'all have a good night. Remember, there are no perfect messengers, only perfect messages for those willing to pick up the game. We out.